that your deck is trying to do, or you are not going to play any of the cards at all. And this is actually a really good example because I think this is a parasitic game mechanic that is very all in. You can have some that are parasitic, but the package is small enough that sometimes you can afford to play a couple of cards that leverage the same game mechanic, even if they don't necessarily have like intrinsic synergy with the rest of your deck. But XP is one of those examples that are not. The cards are typically not going to be playable unless you can really specifically enable them.
I do wonder
I think a
sometimes
good
if I pick
example
the
to
right
look at for
choice
this
for
is there's a new
teams,
Master Yi card that's been printed, a new
especially
champion
when
Master
it
Yi
comes to
card
expert.
that has Hunt 2, which is the keyword that lets you gain XP. And it's a 4 energy, 4 might unit, which is about average.
Oh,
And then if you
welcome
get
back.
to level 6, if you get to 6 XP, it gets ganking and it gets deflect 1, I believe. And then you compare that to the new red Rengar that has been spoiled in this same cycle. And the red Rengar is like 4 energy, it does cost a power, but it has 4 might, and then it has like 5 keywords on it by default. It has like ambush, assault 2, ganking, and deflect, just for existing. And I think this really kind of highlights the notion of like, well, okay, yeah, this Master Yi card is balanced around the fact that in a deck that cares about getting XP, this card with Hunt 2 that's getting 2 XP every time it conquers and holds is intrinsically pretty valuable. And yeah, the level 6 getting ganking and deflect is you know, a bonus, but really you're probably playing this card because it helps enable your other powerful XP cards. I think personally that XP is pretty weak, and the reason for that is that the payoffs are not quite there yet. I don't think the decks that are going to want to be saving XP to build up to having like a lot for like level 11. Like
Wings are highly priced. What does it mean by that?
Lets your units enter ready, which is incredibly powerful. So like if you can get to level 11, obviously that's when you feel very good. The problem is, I think the mechanic is a little weak because gaining.
I just realized I don't have anything.
Is not going to be, I think, happening on a fast enough cadence to matter in a lot of games.
Any way to inflict ailments.
The mechanic will give certain decks a good amount.
This team is completely ailment free.
Like maybe this Master Yi deck is powerful because eventually you get to 11 XP and now all your units enter ready and it becomes incredibly difficult for your opponent to play around it. But in practice, I think you're going to just end up in the situation where you're playing understated units for the first 5 or 6 turns of the game because you're trying to enable this XP strategy. And there are other XP strategies as well, like XP strategies as well. Both yellow and purple also have some XP synergies in their colors in this set. And I do think the deck that I'm most interested in is Kha'Zix, which is a deck that's based around spending XP. And most notably, Kha'Zix in Legend can spend 1 XP for 1 buff, basically +1/+1. And that's a very good rate in terms of spending XP to get direct impact on the board right away. And there are nice breakpoint fixings that you can do with that. Like, for example, there's a
I have all of the
2 energy, 2 might unit that when it enters gives you an XP that you can immediately spend with Kha'Zix to make this a 3 might unit. And a 2 energy, 3 might unit is.
This is why I think a Hexer would be really nice to have.
So, as a result, maybe that's going to be playable. But in general, I think that I wanted to talk too about some other examples of parasitic game mechanics that I felt like pretty weak and did not really break out of their original set in other games as well. One of the big ones that I can think of is vehicles and stationed. They're not vehicles, they're stations, I guess, in Magic the Gathering. This mechanic cares about being able to crew, or in the case of stations, station a vehicle. Essentially, you have to tap creatures in order to enable these artifacts that aren't creatures otherwise. Vehicles in particular have seen a little bit of play. The really, really powerful ones got played in the Shatterfang deck in Pioneer for a little while, which was basically trying to like reanimate and crew a Parhelion, I think at 5 is the name of the card. It'll be on screen if I didn't get the name right anyway. And that strategy was okay, but in general, the really, really like heavy vehicle synergies that we saw, particularly in the newest set, Ace Drift, have not seen play outside of the draft formats that they were designed for. And Magic in general has an issue with this, where they are often forced to design mechanics such that they can create compelling draft formats and limited formats. And kind of inherently, those mechanics thusly can't make it out of limited. They're not going to be powerful enough. Another good example of this is the corrupted mechanic, where you have these cards that have one effect, and then if your opponent has 3 or more poison counters, they have an additional effect that's more powerful. And the reality is, like, this only works if you're playing a deck that has infect creatures or has afflicted creatures that are capable of infect, or what was the mechanic?
Veil's still the same level as everyone else. I could just go back to Veil if I want to.
Never going to do that. It's not a thing that commonly happens in games. And so as a result, like the corrupted game mechanic, I mean, there are some of those cards that saw play, but you were basically never planning to enable the corrupted part of it, or the corrupted side of it, because it wasn't really feasible to do so. Another example of a weak parasitic game mechanic is the Force from Star Wars Unlimited, which is like kind of ironic given that is kind of the big pull of the entire IP. But the reason this mechanic was not particularly strong is that the gameplay patterns around it are challenging to support in a constructed environment. The Force requires you to gain the Force and then play cards that spend that Force token in order to gain an additional effect. And some of these effects were pretty powerful. Draw 2 cards, Bond Kiabi is the best one that I can think of off the top of my head. That's quite strong. Or Talzin's Assassin is another powerful card that lets you give a unit -3/-3 in exchange for using the Force. And although there were a couple of decks in constructed that played these effects,
dude, why did I go for physical attack up?
You are obligated to play a specific base that lets you get the Force when you attack with a Force unit, and then additionally,
Ailing
you are obligated to
Slash!
fill your deck with only Force units. And although they printed more of those units that had the Force trait, it does put a real kind of tax on the way that you can design your deck. You just kind of look at the list of 2-drops, and instead of having a list of 20 that everyone else gets to look at, you have a list of 6. And at a certain point, that kind of inflexibility in deck design caught up with most of these decks, and it was not a mechanic that saw a ton of play. So, it's probably the strongest of these 3 ones that I've talked about, to be fair. Like, there were Force decks, people did, and the juice was occasionally worth the squeeze. But in general, it was pretty weak for something that I think they were kind of hoping would become foundational and a core part
Just
of
as much as you need.
But in general, parasitic game mechanics don't actually have to
be careful.
And a lot of the times, they're pretty strong. And I think that's actually something that's more interesting to talk about. So let's talk about some of the stronger parasitic game mechanics and maybe ones that were even too strong. Okay, so when you're thinking of strong parasitic game mechanics, Magic the Gathering is typically the game that I go to, partially because the history is so long and they've had to create so many different game mechanics, and partially because they've created some really, really push parasitic game mechanics. And for me, there are a couple of archetypal ones that I always think about when I'm thinking about parasitic game mechanics. And they're oddly from the same, they often seem to come from artifact sets. So the first one that I was going to talk about is Affinity from the original Mirrodin block. And Affinity works as follows. Cards with Affinity typically have a high cost.
I just remembered Artery and Boris wants this thing.
Example. Mirror Enforcer costs 7 and
these are our ultimate survival abilities.
For each artifact that you control, it costs 1 less. And in the original Mirrodin block, in all 3 sets, there were many cards with Affinity on them, and importantly, many of these cards were artifacts in and of themselves. So like Frogmite, another example of this, is a 4-mana 2/2, not a good rate, but it has Affinity for artifacts. And what this enables is it basically says to you, okay, you need to build a deck that contains a lot of artifacts, and if you do so, you get to play your cards at an exceptionally discounted rate. Affinity is an example of a parasitic game mechanic that is often worth the squeeze. Obviously, in that standard environment with Skull Clamp, and Disciple of the Vault. The deck was oppressive, incredibly powerful. Arcbound Ravager was another card that really cares about you playing a lot of artifacts. And it's kind of interesting because the one thing about Affinity for artifacts is that play a lot of artifacts is not quite the same level of hoop to jump through to enable your game mechanic. I mean, it is still like a real deck building constraint. You really have to basically only include artifacts. Every non-artifact you include drastically decreases the power level of your potential
telling
draws.
me how
but,
much better the success rate is. This feels really bad to
They did
upgrade.
also put artifact lands in this Mirrodin set, which is the real culprit of why these decks felt so powerful, is that a lot of the times you were playing like Seat of the Sidon, and like secretly that was just Ancient Tomb, it just tapped for 2 mana. And so what this meant was that ultimately the standard Affinity deck was incredible, but this mechanic has actually been playable a bunch of times in Magic's history. In Modern, the Affinity deck has been a mainstay of the format for like almost its entire, at this point, how old is Modern now? This is going to date me, because I started playing right around when Modern, I started playing seriously right around when Modern became a main constructed format. So that would have been, what, 2013? Something like that. So it's been around for like 13, 14 years. That's horrifying to say out loud. But Affinity was playable pretty much right from the start of Modern's history all the way through till now. It's had some dips where it's been less playable, but in general, still very strong. And in Pauper as well, another format that I quite like Affinity has been the boogeyman problematic deck in that format for a long time. There have been many, many times where various variants of Affinity have felt like the best thing to be doing in Pauper. So they can definitely overshoot. They can definitely be too strong. Affinity is a great example. Another one that I thought of, and this one is kind of interesting because it leads into another thing that I wanted to talk about with Parasitic Game Design, which is like what happens when you put a bunch of power into a parasitic mechanic but then don't make it that hard to enable. And this is energy. So the original energy mechanic was in the first Amonkhet block. That has a different name now, sorry. But not Amonkhet, sorry. Oh god, we're gonna put it on screen because I don't want to say the wrong one. But the first set, it was at the time called Kaladesh. It now has a different name that I'm gonna put on the screen. And the energy mechanic is inherently extremely parasitic. You have cards that give you energy, like Rogue Refiner is a good example. 1 blue-green for a 3/2 that draws you a card and gives you 2 energy. And then you have cards that want to spend energy to give you big payoffs. And the probably the biggest example of this was that you had an energy deck that was a combo deck that was basically playing like a bunch of these random energy enablers like Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot and stuff, and was then trying to build up into a big payoff. A big payoff in Aetherworks Marvel, which let you pay 6 energy to look at the top 6 cards of your library, and then you could cast a card among them without paying its mana cost. Notably, there were Eldrazi legal in this set at the same time, and so you could do some really funky stuff with that. But additionally, there were also just these energy-based mid-range decks that were just building up energy, spending it to cast Harnessed Lightning, which just was a flexible removal spell based on how much energy you spent on it.
Formula. And it's actually really funny.
Like they were playing cards like Rogue Refiner, which just makes 1/1 flyers with your energy. And this deck was incredibly oppressive in this standard environment. There were a couple of other things that you could be doing eventually. I remember particularly like I was playing like Approach of the Second Sun Control in this format, but ultimately the energy mechanic created this like really, really oppressive feeling 4-color mid-range deck. And the one thing about energy was that it did, in order to enable the really big good payoffs like Aetherworks Marvel, it did require you to make a concerted effort to put a bunch of energy cards in your deck. Like the Aetherworks Marvel deck was playing, like I mentioned, like Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot, which is like a card you might cut from your draft deck, depending on how much synergy you had, right? Like, it's just not that good. But you had to play these cards. You had to play like Attune with Aether, which is just find a basic land, get 2 energy. And that's all in part due to the fact that you just needed to enable these big payoffs, these big energy payoffs. The mid-range deck, I think, had the advantage of being less in on requiring energy to win the game. Like, it had win conditions like the Scarab God, which weren't related to energy, but it did still want to be spending energy in order to enable its game plan. So it's not as though it was irrelevant and you still had to play those same kinds of cards. You weren't playing Woodweaver's Puzzle a lot, but you were still playing a bunch of cards that were largely there with the express purpose of generating energy. And all of this is interesting because the energy deck, despite it being incredibly powerful in exactly its standard environment, as soon as it rotated out of standard, you basically never heard of it again. It's not as though this is a deck that then went and was extremely powerful in Pioneer or in Modern. And that's because once you got out of the lower power, comparatively, standard environment, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze anymore. You couldn't afford to play a lot of comparatively weaker cards in order to enable some of your stronger cards. Now, what happened eventually is that Wizards has actually gone back to energy a couple of times as a mechanic, both in terms of some commander decks and most recently in Modern Horizons 3, they printed some energy cards in there. And that's a really good example of what happens when a parasitic mechanic maybe becomes not parasitic enough. So what happened in Modern Horizons 3 is that they printed a couple of pretty notable objectionable cards. The most obvious is Amped Raptor. This is a 2/1, 1 in a red for a 2/1.
Doing this then?
With first strike. And when it enters, it makes 2 energy, and then it reveals cards from the top of your deck until you hit a non-land, and then you can spend energy up to that card's converted mana cost to play that card for free. And notably, Amped Raptor makes its own energy. So it's self-enabling. And what people very quickly realized is that if you just filled your deck with nothing but cards that cost 2 or less, or more or less nothing but cards that cost 2 or less.
I guess you got good taste.
This Amped Raptor was just a 2/1 that played another spell when it entered. And obviously you wouldn't 100% of the time be able to play the other spell, and that wasn't like ideal, but the high end of plays was absurd, and this is one of the things that enabled this extremely powerful Boros energy deck that took over the format after Modern Horizons 3's printing. The other card that also synergized with energy that got printed in this same set is Guide of Souls. This is a card that is the most pushed Soul Sister of all time. Essentially, it is a 1/2, and when a creature enters the battlefield on your side of the field, you get an energy, you gain a life, and when you attack, you can spend 3 energy to give a unit, or to give a creature, 2 +1/+1 counters and a flying counter. And I think maybe that's, yeah.
Thank you for your business.
So it's, again, self-enabling. You don't have to play a bunch of other energy cards. It scales with more energy very well. Like, obviously, it's great to be able to trigger the buff effect every turn, but you don't need to necessarily for this card to be good. And then
it's you.
There's also Galvanic Discharge that was printed in Modern Horizons 3, which is 1 red instant. It makes 3 energy, and then you can spend any amount of energy to deal that amount of damage to a creature or a planeswalker. And again, this is a card that self-enables but gets better with more energy. And this, I think, is a really good example of what happens when you originally design a mechanic to be too parasitic, and then try to overcorrect to make it be playable in a way that is not parasitic. And it's problematic. Like, frankly, energy is too strong. And so it's a good example, I think, of when to be a bit more cautious about parasitic game design. And,
you know, I could maybe just rest everyone.
You should probably make sure that there's actually a cost to putting in your deck. I think when you're talking about strong parasitic game design, you would be remiss not to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is actually kind of foundationally built on the notion of parasitic game design. Many archetypes and cards in this game are designed explicitly to lock you into only playing in one particular archetype or one particular card type, and that's deliberate. That's done in a way that's intended to make sure that you can't just play all of the best stuff. Obviously, sometimes they miss on this effect, but I think that also sometimes they miss and they make stuff too powerful, even if it's supposed to have like meaningful
What will you do?
locks that put you into just the particular archetype.
Done.
Talking about it in a
Be
Yu-Gi-Oh
careful.
context is a little bit different, I think, just because the whole game is based around archetypes. Like almost every deck in the game is going to be playing cards that mention other cards in archetype, and you're going to be playing like 15 to 20 cards that all share a similar name and a similar game plan. But I think despite that, there are still some instances where Konami has printed archetypes that are quite locked in terms of being into just one thing, but have still felt way, way too powerful. And the best example for me, and this is obviously like some recency bias, this deck was oppressive right before I started playing, is Malice. So Malice is a deck that cares about cybers and locks you into playing them, in fact. And so theoretically, the cost of playing this deck is that you have to fill your deck with only Cybers monsters, and many of the cards only reference other Malice cards. And so you would think that, oh, okay, yeah, you have to make this sort of choice between playing this deck and maybe losing out on some of the other powerful effects in the game. And the problem is that in practice you just don't. And partially this is a issue related to the way that Yu-Gi-Oh's non-engine works, and that's a whole different video that I'll do some other time. But the Malice deck essentially had its whole engine that was predicated around getting locked into Cybers, drawing a bunch of cards, building a powerful board, drawing a bunch of cards in the process. And then a lot of the time in the process, because you were drawing so many cards in the process of doing a combo, you would end on your powerful end board, and then you also end up with one or two non-engine hand traps that you can still use despite being locked into Cybers. And this is an issue related to the fact that despite the fact that you have to fill your deck with a bunch of engine cards, it's not like you have to build your deck exclusively with Malice cards and forego playing interaction to do this. You in fact just get to play a normal looking Yu-Gi-Oh deck. And so as a result, like despite the fact that the mechanic is parasitic and you have to play Cybers, it's just way too strong. And obviously a bunch of cards got banned from Malice as a result. I think too there are a couple of other archetypes like this where like they are parasitic in the sense that they technically have some locks that require you to make significant deck building choices, but in practice it's not enough. Like Draco Tail is another good example where like finding a currently makes mostly Draco Tail monsters, but long term it probably won't. There's a real good chance that you could end up using that card to make any kind of spellcaster or dragon because it's not templated in a way where it's locked. Similarly, like Mitsurugi is an archetype that is horrifically not locked. As a result, even though theoretically including the Mitsurugi package in your deck like costs you 15 cards, many decks are willing to do so because it's so powerful and it is not exclusionary enough. So I think this leads us to the final question, which is parasitic game design good or bad? I think that like using the word when you're talking about game design is a bit simple. But for now we're gonna use it just for simplicity's sake. But really we're talking about like does parasitic game design promote like healthy metagames and does it keep decks from being oppressive? And I think that the answer is something. You can miss too low. Magic in particular has this really bad habit of printing these parasitic game mechanics that consequently mean that they have no impact outside of the lowest power formats in which they were printed for. So you could really, like, in my section where I was talking about weak parasitic game mechanics, like I could have named 15 game mechanics from the last 10 years of Magic, and that's in part because they need to build draft sets, and they need to build sets that have playable limited environments, and a lot of the time creating those playable limited environments requires you creating mechanics that are going to feel pretty parasitic in those environments. And it does suck when you're reading spoilers for a set and you come across a card that looks exciting and then you realize that enabling it in a constructed environment is like just not going to be possible. One like kind of fun example of this that's a bit older is like the gates mechanic that came up in both Return to Ravnica and then subsequently in Return to Ravnica block in the second time we went back. They printed a bunch of cards that were predicated around playing these Guildgate cards, and they were really fun and they were really cool. And there was like very briefly a standard deck that you could play that played like all gates and gates ablaze, and the Gate Guardian, I think it was, that was like an 8/8 that you got to play for 0. But in practice, like this archetype never really made it out of limited, and maybe a little bit standard. And that's a shame. There's all these cards that cared about gates, and it's just like not a thing that's ever really been a factor in any other environment besides that. Hello, Liam from the future here. You can tell it's the future because the lighting is different and my hair is messier. I wanted to interject here because I fully whiffed on this example, and gates actually have been playable in one constructed format, which is Pauper. And I totally forgot about specifically Basilisk Gate, a card that was printed for Commander set out of Baldur's Gate Commander deck. And that actually created a really powerful Pauper deck for a while that was predicated around playing a bunch of gates. There were different gates printed in the Baldur's Gate sets that were typically what these decks were playing, so not quite the guild gates that we had in Ravnica. But yeah, Basilisk Gate, very powerful, and actually was good enough to be playable by itself. I think notably it's not a super parasitic mechanic because it only asks you to play gates, and in Pauper that was less of a deck building constraint that would be in other formats. We could argue about what the power level of Pauper is to that it only being playable in lower power formats. But yeah, I would be remiss if I didn't. So obviously, like, sometimes it's a problem when you have this parasitic game mechanic that is just never going to make it because the juice isn't worth the squeeze. And it's something that I think you need to be particularly careful about when designing cards. If you're designing a subset of cards that you know are going to need to be played with each other in order to be powerful, I think it creates this pretty delicate balance where you need to make sure that the payoffs are strong enough to justify playing the weaker cards, but that the payoffs aren't so strong that they feel oppressive. And then similarly, like I discussed with energy, you also can't make it so that the payoffs self-enable themselves too much, because then obviously it just becomes a small package that many decks can include without really needing to lean into comparison. But frankly, I actually think that there are lots of occasions where parasitic game design is a good thing. And it's for a couple of reasons, right? I think a lot of complaints about the current Yu-Gi-Oh! Meta and previous Yu-Gi-Oh! Metas have been related to the fact that many archetypes have not felt parasitic enough. They haven't had this need to only play cards on their own. They haven't locked themselves out of other generically powerful things, and that's been very frustrating. And so in a lot of ways, you can use this to print high power effects in a way that is theoretically, like, quote unquote safer, if you are willing to print them with more parasitic restrictions, either in terms of what they require in deck building or what they require in gameplay. And for me, I actually think going forward, this kind of archetypal game design is safer, because if you end up in a situation where something feels too powerful, it is easier as a ban strategy to take out a card from a specific archetype or from a specific parasitic game mechanic to weaken that one particular subset of deck in a way that isn't going to create this massive amount of splash damage for other decks. A good example of this in Riftbound currently, actually, is Draven. Obviously, Draven is exceptionally powerful, and the Miracle Draven deck has generated a lot of discussion and frustration. And All Shot is likely going to get banned. There's likely going to be some kind of errata to the way that rules work. But any change in an effort to weaken Draven is going to have knock-on effects. And that's because none of the cards in the deck are parasitic or archetypic. They're all just generically good cards. And as a result, in order to go and weaken this deck and ban anything that isn't literally just Draven, you are doing so at the cost of other strategies in the format. Purple does seem to get worse. This is fine. I don't think that unfortunately, I'm sorry, I'm not going to cry any tears for the Sivir misfortune players if they end up losing a couple of cards to others as a response to Draven. powerful. It is what it is. But as a general balance, it's much easier to approach balance if you have more siloed parasitic mechanics that you can target. Like for example, let's say XP does become too powerful. Well, all of a sudden, you have this situation where if you're looking at the XP decks and saying these are too good, you can ban a card from specifically those decks, and it will likely affect nothing else in the metagame, which is a way better place to be in. Overall, I think that parasitic game design gets a bad rap. I think people oftentimes talk about it in this really like derogatory way, and as though it's lazy or as though it's a bad choice to have done it in this particular way. And in practice, I think that that's just not correct. Obviously, when you miss on any game mechanic and it feels good, it's not as fun to play with. It's a bummer when something you're hoping is powerful. But whether the mechanic is parasitic very rarely actually matters, like the power level. It's about whether or not...
Why the fuck is this guy just spamming?
Archetype is built, not so much specifically the mechanic itself. Overall, I think this is a really interesting topic, and one that doesn't get talked about that often in the game design context, especially outside of the confines of Magic. Magic definitely has a lot of discussions about this, but many other games have obviously parasitic game design as well. And again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think that it's, in fact, arguably a pretty positive thing going forward from a design philosophy to be able to really specifically target the archetypes that you think are problematic. The one argument against parasitic game design, and I have heard this before, is that it can oversimplify the deck building process in a way that is frustrating and unfun. And I think that that's a valid criticism. If you are going to print a mechanic where you, like I mentioned in the Star Wars Unlimited context,
Who's on duty?
All of a sudden taking the pool of 2-drops that you can put in your deck, and you're taking it from being 20 and you're making it 6.
Was there something
well, all
else?
of a sudden those deck building decisions get less interesting. And that's a bummer. Obviously, for many people, myself included, deck building is a core portion of why we find TCGs fun. And when you make exceptionally archetypal and parasitic game mechanics, then all of a sudden, building the deck becomes a much more fine-tuning kind of process where you're working out exact ratios rather than having this more open kind of deck building process of being able to play a larger subset of cards. But I think that as long as you have both present in games, you have some parasitic game mechanics and some that are a bit more open, then it's fine. You have something for everyone, and it's still very reasonable.
You're ordering.
Overall,
I guess you got good taste.
I think this is a really interesting topic. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments about parasitic game design, what your favorite parasitic game mechanics are. I know in particular, if you're a longtime Magic player, there are some hot ones from the last kind of 10-15 years that have been printed for draft sets that people have been like begging Wizards to revisit to maybe push them over the edge to be playable in one of these eternal formats. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you'll subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
That might have been too much.
Ah, it's you. What will you do? Done.
You know what? I'll take it.
Be careful.
Oh, of course. I'll take those. We had some new things come in. Could I help you with anything else? Oh, that's a relief.
Totally not biased here, because, you know, we kinda help run the place. But yeah, it's a nice place.
Oh, everyone! Thank you for your business.
Thanks for coming.
What is active
You're ordering
chats?
this? What do you think?
Oh, grimoires. That's useless.
You're ordering
Just max TP.
I guess you've got good taste. Doing this then? You want to equip?
The Quaaludes are pretty nice, I suppose.
guys.
Welcome. Okay. Good night, then. The guest book is here.
Now hold on!
What?
Excuse me. Good luck.
Hey, you guys! Yep. Huh? Am I right, huh? Welp, I'm counting on you. Hey, you guys! All right. What'll it be? Talk as much as you want.
Quite bizarre, isn't it?
Welp, I'm counting on you.
Ah, it's you. Hmm? Oh, it's you. Be careful.
What
How
do
may
you have
I
to say?
assist you all? Yes. Is there anything? I'm counting on your success.
Thanks for coming. How's the exploration? Okay. Anything else you need? See you guys.
Welcome. The guest book is here. Good luck.
Of impulse and potentially draw and discard cards on the opponent's turn. That's so funny. Taking notes from, of course, Dual Taming. We're going for the Yubel combo here, of course. I've gone back into Samsara the Lotus, into Spirit of Yubel, into Spirit of Yubel effect, and we'll grab a Nightmare Pain. We already have access to one, but we'll go for Squirmer here, targeting the Pain and triggering the effect of the Spirit of Yubel for Yubel, and of course triggering the effect of Unchained Soul Sarama, popping the Yubel to summon itself. That triggers Yubel and enables him to get a copy of Terra Incarnate. From here, you can go to Yama into Sharvara into Yama, into cycle back to Sharvara and set a chamber. From here we can go Graves Former effect to summon back Spirit, go into Unchained Soul of Rage, go into Topologic Bomber Dragon, and then summon back the Spirit. That will trigger the effect of the Topologic Bomber, which triggers the effect of the Spirit and the effect of the Yama, summoning Yubel and a copy of Dark Beckoning Beast before passing turn. We'll use Yubel in order to eat the Dark Beckoning Beast so it sticks around, then use Samsara Lotus to summon itself to rest on the field. Their opponent's going to start with a copy of Rescue's Impulse into Fire Attacker into the Lotus. Really funny. We'll go ahead and pop that copy of Yubel and trigger the effect of the Yubel, at which point the truck is just going to surrender. So it's time for that all-important Game 3 and God, this is boring. Okay, well, looks like the Yubel player has opened nothing but non-engine in the format where we banned all the non-engines, so we'll see. We're going to go Gates of Genba, activate Dark Corridor, that's the one of, and then we'll go ahead and trigger the effect of Rainbow. Rainbow for Silva, then we'll fire off the Allure of Darkness, drawing 2, and we'll banish that Snow before going for Zephyros. Here we're going to go Dugaris, that's draw 2, discard 1. We'll draw 2 and discard a Snow. Snow's going to trigger for a Saluri, and now it's time to do unfun stuff. We'll go Insetti for a copy of the Sark, and then we'll activate the effect of the Sark, pitching the Accession for a Happy. Summon Insetti and Happy, and then we'll go for a copy of the Hieratic Sun Dragon. Let's go for Gates of Dark World in order to proc the effect of the Saluri, and there's 2 cards down. Silva effect here, it's going to summon, and unfortunately does hit the Greedy Crow. From here, they're going to go into a Chupacabra, summoning it, and then triggering the effect of the Nessie. From here, we're going to activate the Zephyros the Elite, putting back the Gates of Dark World, and then, of course, just activate it again later. We'll go Security Dragon here in order to bounce this copy of Saluri, then afterwards we'll go to the Gates of Dark World, activate the effect in order to give them the Saluri once again. And what do you know, we got a Silva in hand, so we'll go ahead and trigger that, and get 2 of those suckers back in hand. Back to a Book of the Flips and nothing. We'll go Mothman here, it hits the Silva. Summon the Mothman, trigger the effect of the Silva, summon it to your side of the field, and here we'll go Allure of Darkness, draw 2. And then afterwards we're going to go Accession, add it back to hand, then activate the effect of the Rainbow. After that, we can go ahead and make a Nightmare Unicorn just to clear space into Rainbow, into Accession, into a copy of Grappa. From here, you can activate Grappa, pop the Saluri, and, good luck with your 2-card hand. Nightmare Griffin plus Grappa seems like it's going to make quick work of anything. Really cool stuff. A Cracker here is going to cycle back the Snow, into the Rainbow, into a Grappa, into the Rainbow, into the end phase. They'll draw for turn. It's Skullmeister, a little too late. And that's a quick scoop and an advance for Dark World. All right, representing Fluffle, we have got these, and representing Raid Raptor, we've got GCD and his Royal Penguin Gardener in the opener. GCD is going to begin with a copy of Noir Lanius into a Strangle, into a Pain. They're going to activate the effect of the Noir Lanius in order to grab a copy of Heal Eagle that will summon it to their side of the field, at which point they can make Wise and Strix. Wise Strix here is going to summon a copy of Mimicry Lanius, and here's the first of 4 we're going to see so far. Raiders Knight into Brave Strix. Brave Strix will grab a copy of Raid Raptor's Force and a copy of Raid Raptor Roost. We'll go Raid Raptor Roost here, followed up with the Skip Force in order to turn that sucker into an Arsenal Falcon. In order to get the Glorious Bright into Arsenal Falcon into Tribute Lanius. We're going to go into a Wise Strix again, which triggers the effect of the Arsenal Falcon into an Ultimate Falcon. We'll go Mimicry into a Strangle Lanius, summon that sucker, then trigger the effect of the Strangle Lanius in order to reborn the Noir. From here we can go Force Strix effect, and of course afterwards we can fire off the Raid Raptor's Force in order to rank that sucker all the way up to a Rising Rebellion Falcon. Finally, we'll go Heal Eagle in order to grab that sucker back, then Raider's Wing, at which point we can trigger the Rising Raid Raptor's Force into Roost, into shuffle these suckers back and draw. Finally, we can go Tribute Lanius to send. We'll send a Heal Eagle, go into a Force Strix again in order to grab a copy of Fuzzy. We'll go Bloom Vulture here, summoning it, then we'll summon the Fuzzy. We'll go into a Nightmare, set 4 and pass. What a fun one. They're going to take 1,000 in the end phase. They'll draw for turn. From here, they're going to go into Foolish Burial Goods, sending a Toy Vendor. Toy Vendor triggers and grabs a Wings. We'll go Royal Penguin's Garden to get Fluffle Penguin, hilarious, then Royal Penguin's Garden in order to pitch a Toy Vendor. We'll go ahead and trigger the effect of the Fluffle Bear here in order to grab another Toy Vendor to set. Then we can activate the on-field effect of the Toy Vendor, pitching the Wings. That hits nothing, so we'll go Wings in order to draw a couple of cards. This is such an unbelievable plus, and where are we going from here? To game 2. All right, this time we're going to see what our Fluffle player can cook, and I'm shocked to see they have, tier limits cards in the hand. We're going to begin with Patchwork, followed up with a Foolish Burial Goods of setting a Toy Vendor, the Toy Vendor effect, in order to grab, of course, one powerful Fluffle monster. We'll go Hard Polly into Cruel Whale. We will trigger the Thesis, along with the effect of Chain and the effect of Royal Penguin. We will pitch a Tier Limits Merly off the Penguin into a Dragostapelio. Let's normal summon Dog here. Dog for Dolphin into a Cross Sheep into a Repair. Repair is going to special summon back the Fluffle Penguin, which allows a normal summon from Dolphin. We'll trigger Dolphin here. For this copy of Toy Vendor, we will go ahead and overlay for a Bahamut Shark. Bahamut Shark in order to go Toad, and now that we have the Gates, we can trigger the effect of the Cross Sheep for a Penguin. We'll activate the effect of toy vendor. And afterwards, we're going to go for the Wings in the Graveyard and draw a whole bunch of cards. Foolish Burial here comes down for a Scythe. We'll go Penguin effect in order to get that Octopus. Octopus here in order to cycle back the Scythe, and Royal Penguin's Garden for another Pengu. From here, we can go to a Sprite Sprint into a Sheep effect, and then afterwards, we can summon back the Chain into an Abyss Dweller before passing. We'll activate that effect of Book of Eclipse and draw, followed up with a second Book of Eclipse into an Abyss Dweller. So we are going to be able to lock the graveyard here if nothing else. We'll go Totally Awesome in order to grab back at this Dolphin. They're going to be getting a copy of Fuzzy Lanius into Simorg, Bird of Perfection. Banking on no extenders, we just herald that, and unfortunately we have a Strangle Lanius. Sprite Sprint is going to be able to bounce that. Hopefully that's it, and thank God that last card wasn't it. So it's time for that all-important game 3, and it's important to recognize that here, Fluffle actually gets to flex the fact that it has an on-theme hand trap that Raid Raptor lacks. So while this Raid Raptor hand is fine, it is going to have to contend with exactly this Edge of Scythe, which we are going for immediately, triggering the effect of the Cruel Whale, and the effect of the Cruel Whale, and the effect of the Penguin. We'll activate Repair here and then banish the Scythe so it survives. Then we will go ahead and refill our hand. From here, our opponent's going to go for a Foolish Burial into Gloom Vulture, which we will Herald of the Orange Light. That's gotta be enough. It is! They'll pass turn. Oh my god, is Fluffle gonna walk out of this? Fright for Patchwork, add a couple of cards to hand and fire off the Fright for Fusion. Put some of that Cruel Whale into Edge of Chain, and that is... is that lethal? I think it is with the effect of the Cruel Whale in order to send a Patchwork and go for 39 and 39 once again. Unbelievable. We have done it. Fluffle advances. Raid Raptor killed with one stone. So Zoo's an interesting pick for this format because it, of course, lives and dies off the strength of its non-engine, and we banned all the good non-engine. So good luck. Dark Hole Raigeki. maybe that'll do it. All right, our plan player is going to be getting a copy of Sunvine Sowing into a genus Loci into a Mudon. Mudon's going to clear here in order to grab a copy of Concon from the deck. They'll go for Concon in order to set a copy of Sheet. From here, they'll normal summon a Cactus Bouncer and pass. Awesome. Well, hilariously, that's one of the few boards that actually loses to Dark Hole. Into Twin Twister, eat the entire field. All right, good luck. Pot of Desires here, draw 2. Upstart Goblin to draw an additional 1, and Pankratops does nothing. We'll just go Ram and Chakanine into battle phase, attack in. And are you ready for Zeus, the game, the movie? Okay, this is like a 12-mat Zeus. That Small World looking pretty good. Pankratops does trade for the Zeus. And then afterwards we can Small World into a genus Loci, maybe? No, but we can get to Rosalina. That's still pretty good. Aroma Lilith, Rosalina into Aramage Laurel into Jasmine. Trigger Laurel, gain 5. The effect of the Jasmine in order to Surge. Lily Borea is pretty good. We're going to set that Cactus Bouncer in the back row, then activate the effect in order to grab a Therion. Let's go for the Disco. We'll activate Disc Coliseum in order to grab the King, the Regulus, and Aromatherapy Jasmine for a Ricka Petal. Ricka Petal here in order to go ahead and grab a Ricka Princess. This goes into Rosemary, which gets a copy of the Roma Blend. Pitching this copy of Regulus into Humid Winds. We're going to go for the Magnolia into the Princess, and from here we can activate the effect of Humid Winds, taking 1,000, grabbing a copy of Rosemary.
I need to restock on my healing items.
In order to go up 13, that triggers Magnolia. We'll go to battle, and this should be way more than the please. Alright, okay, let's go game 2. Alright, time for game 2. I guess Engage is unlimited, that's something. And once again, the Zoo player has elected to go second. Says, I believe in the strength of board breakers. Well, that will be put to the test because we've just opened the combo this time. Sunseed Twin into Dryas will trigger the effect of the Twin into the effect of the Dryas in order to gain 1,000. Here comes Healer. And then a Point of Resolution will trigger the effect of the Healer in order to gain an additional 3. From here we go Jasmine. Jasmine effect to go into Laurel. And then we go into Yanni, triggering the effect of the Laurel and adding 2 cards from deck to hand. Awesome. Let's go ahead and grab this copy of Princess, and we will grab this copy of Lily Borea as well. Lily Borea targeting this Healer. And then afterwards, of course, we can go to the Rosemary. Rosemary effect in order to grab a Blend. Blend effect in order to grab Humid Winds. And then afterwards, we can activate the effect of the Blend in order to summon out Magnolia. Here comes Jasmine again. Sunseed Twin into Jasmine into Humid Winds. And then, of course, because we took damage, we can go ahead and gain life points, triggering Jasmine again. I love that you can just add 4 over the course of the turn. This seems pretty over. We're going to go Snowdrop into Mudon. Mudon effect. We'll go ahead and grab Concon. We'll activate the effect of the Laurel, summoning itself, and then going into a Malias. Malias into the genus Loci. And we'll go for the Ricka Princess as well. Why not? Let's go Snowdrop to modulate that to an 8. Let's go, or a 4 rather. Let's go Strenna. Strenna here to cycle the Mudon. We'll go Lone Fire, pitching the Strenna to go into Petal. Trigger the effect of the Strenna and grab a copy of Hyperraton into a Strenna into Petal. Petal here is going to go ahead and grab another Princess into a Bangalancer into Concon. We'll go Hyperraton in order to equip a spell card as well and pass it back to our opponent. All right, let's see if we can do it. Tank is good. We'll begin Widow Anchor, targeting Hyper Raiden. That gets the spell negate out of the way, and, well, now it's Dark Ruler time. Let's go Pankratops here in order to eat the Con-Con. That's
I
going to be met
haven't
with the
seen
Petal,
those
of
items
course,
be
or the
useful in a
Princess,
while.
rather. And then afterwards, he'll trigger the effect of the Strenna in order to go into Teardrop. It's Dark Hole time. Let's eat the entire field, and Engage time. All right, what are we drawing? Those aren't bad. One more draw, maybe? We'll go Whiptail attached to Chakanine that at least deals with the Bangalancer. Humid Winds comes down and, of course, enables us to go to Borbo into Humid Winds to gain life points. We'll go to the battle phase. We get to banish this copy of Bangalancer, which is funny. Main 2, you know where we're going, baby. We're going as far into Zeus as we can. We're going to eat the board just to get the Con-Con upfield and set 1. At end step, we'll bring back the Petal and draw for turn. Where are we going from here? Okay, Petal effect is going to be met with the Widow Anchor, and we'll take it too. Fuck it. Okay, so down comes Ragnarika, the Evil Seed. That's going to go ahead and do the Ragnarika tumble. We'll go to Mudon, trigger the effect of the Mudon. We do have another Con-Con, which is horrifying, so we have to just go ahead and Zeus now. They'll go Con-Con, and then afterwards going to go Rosalina. Rosalina effect for Jasmine. Mir, we're going to go Zeus again, eating the board a third time before Ragnarika Bloom comes down. All right, how far can we go with a 2-card extra deck? Let's find out. We're going to go into Skeletal Soldier, bring back the Evil Seed. And we're going to go to the last card in our extra, Dance Peone. Oh my god, are we just out of guys? We just don't have anything that can kill anyone? All right, we're going to bring back the Skeletal Soldier, and we can't out the 2700 defense. There was too much gas. We had too much gas. We ran out of extra. Oh my god. That's agony. So it's time for that all-important Game 3, and we have elected to go second again! All right, Lone Fire Blossom into a Sunseed Genus Loci, into a Sun Avalon Dryas, into... Oh, boy. Y'all read any good books lately? I don't know. I mean, they're just going to do the combo. We've all seen the combo. Down comes Upstart Goblin. Okay, well, Dark Ruler's a good start, and Regeki is a good follow-up. And we will just go ahead and draw 5 cards. All right. And we, you know what? Actually, just draw a couple more cards also. All right, Whiptail into Borbo. Let's go battle. Main phase 2. You know where we're going. You know where we're going, baby. We're going all the way. Ricochet here. Guess what? We drew Eagle Booster as well. Ah, that's a fun one. And set 5, Paz. Good luck. Good luck. And he'll draw for turn. 8 cards and extra. Let's normal summon a Rosalina. That's going to get Widow Anchored. We got like 18 of these. So, you know what? And they're all offline. We'll go Bangalancer here, summon itself. Afterwards, we'll go for the Aroma Blend in order to get a Humid Winds. Humid Winds here is going to trigger. We'll go ahead and grab a copy of Laurel. Mudon here in order to summon itself. They'll activate the effect of the Mudon and grab a copy of Con-Con. Con-Con effect into Book of Moon, targeting the Mudon. Then they'll go Aroma Blend in order to summon out the Magnolia. Magnolia effect, take 2. We'll Zeus here. That'll be met with the Humid Winds. That's fine. They gain 5, and the whole field goes to the graveyard. All right, well, can Laurel get there? Can Cataroost get there? Chakanine here in order to summon back this copy of Whiptail. And after we overlay for... Oh my god, we're playing the Xyz armor, guys. Oh, okay, Armored Xyz into Crystal Lancer 0, into Full Armor Dark Knight Lancer, to Armored Xyz, into the effect of Dark Lancer to cycle Armored Xyz. It went down to 900 for that. Chakanine here to attack again for another 34. It's lethal! This deck is so stupid. All right, Labyrinth, the deck pretty much kept exactly in check by Ash Blossom and Bell, versus Pendulum, a deck that can consistently FTK if allowed to. They're going to begin with a copy of Waka Ushi. Waka Ushi is going to summon itself and set a copy of Big Ben Kai. Big Ben Kai for the Soul Piercer. Soul Piercer equipped to the Waka Ushi, and we'll go the effect of Ignis Phoenix. They're going to go Chandra Liger into Backjack, which allows them to get to Terrors of the Overroot and Welcome Labyrinth on turn 1. They'll go Waka Ushi here and Ignis for Prominence and Super Heavy Samurai Soul Piercer. They're going to go ahead and summon a copy of Ignis Phoenix from deck and then activate the effect of the Ignister in order to force out that Terrors just a little early. They're going to go ahead and activate the effect of the Chandra Liger in Graveyard, which fiends a Demon Crow. And then afterwards, we'll go ahead and Pendulum summon the Ignis Phoenix and this copy of Waka Ushi into another Ignis Phoenix. Cool. Let's go ahead and get that last card remaining shuffled back in, and let's summon a Power Load. Let's go beyond the Pendulum effect. In order to add a scale back, we will just go ahead and scale it, and then let's go ahead and special summon out this copy of Dynamite. We will go Odd Eyes Rev in order to bring back Ignister Prominence. Damn, this shit is really not once per turn. Into Majesty Pegasus. Let's go for a Sky Iris here. Sky Iris here is theoretically going to set scales. We'll go Codebreaker Virus Swordsman into Virus Berserker, into Zero Day, into Virus Swordsman, into Sky Iris, pop the last remaining scale for Rev Dragon, into Firewall Dragon Singularity. That's what you want to do with all this power. You want to make Firewall Dragon Singularity. Baguska! You want to make Firewall Dragon Singularity. You have been given the strength to FTK. You want to make Firewall Dragon Singularity Baguska. Well, it's paying off here because we get to return all the traps to the hand. All right, a backcheck here is going to reveal off the top. It's unfortunately not a trap. We will Singularity, forcing out that last trap card. It's Dogmatic for punishment, but I think that doesn't do anything. Entis on the Singularity at least is something. We'll go Ignister Phoenix in order to summon another one. Luster Pendulum here. Let's go to Beyond the Pendulum. Beyond the Pendulum here is going to go ahead and grab a copy of a high scale Ignister Phoenix, and we will set this Astrograph Sorcerer. Down comes Arias, and we will set this copy of Trap Trick. We can activate the Trap Trick. Okay, all right, we're going into Destructive Daruma Karma Cannon. That doesn't actually do what you want. We can still perform a Pendulum Summon. We'll go Sky Iris to pop this Ignis Phoenix into a Rev Dragon. We'll activate the effect of the Ignis Phoenix in order to grab a Dynamite Power Load. Overlay for a Magister Paladin, the Ascending Draco Slayer. Let's go ahead and summon out back that Ignis Phoenix into battle. 17, 1850. Then in main phase 2, we can overlay for a Zeus and pass turn. We will resolve the effect of the Majesty Phoenix. Draw a card. Wow, Ku Klok's not a bad one, but it's not good enough. All right, time for Cape. What the hell is that? Sauge de Fleur. God, you ban all the non-engine and these people will find more of it. All right, so let's begin with a copy of Ku Klok. We will activate the effect of the Chandra Liger in order to set Lab Lab. We'll activate Ku Klok here. We'll go ahead and special summon it. Then we'll activate Lab Lab. We will set a card. Oh, it's Welcome Lab. Let's go ahead and summon Ariane. We'll activate the effect of the Ariane in order to get into Ariana, and the effect of the Ariana in order to grab a Welcome Labyrinth. We'll overlay for a Baguska. Eat that, stupid Pendulum Man. All right, we'll go Curtain Razor here. Curtain Razor effect to summon itself in. Sauge for the back row. It is Welcome Labyrinth. They're just going to go ahead and get the Lady Lab here. Afterwards, they'll summon the Sauge de Fleur. Down comes Welcome Lab and Chandra Liger. This seems pretty over. We'll go Rev here. That's going to grab us Luster. Luster Pendulum into Beyond the Pendulum. We will take 12 here. And let's go ahead and grab a copy of, oh my god, Bunbuku. We're just playing everything. We're playing Spider Orchid as well. We'll go Spider Orchid and Big Benkai. Then we will Pendulum summon the Bunbuku and the Luster Pendulum and the Dynamite Power Load. The Beyond the Pendulum enables you to, oh my god, pop the Baguska. We're totally in it. Okay, Ignister Providence now comes down. We'll go for Ignister Providence into a copy of Ignis Phoenix. Ignister Providence in order to pop the Ignis Phoenix and get this Lady Lab off. Then we're going to trigger the effect of the Exceed the Pendulum here in order to put back this copy of Ignister. We'll activate the effect to special it out. And then we're making another Ignister Providence. You know it, baby. We're going to special out this copy of Luster Pendulum. And we're going to get rid of that last card here. We're going to get rid of this Benkai and that Ku Klok. We'll go into a Codebreaker Virus Swordsman. Oh my god, I can't believe we're going to win. We'll go to Virus Berserker. Virus Berserker, summon back Zero Day, summon back Virus Swordsman into Firewall Dragon is back and bigger than ever. And Lab player concedes. Pendulum advances. So we're about to enter top 4. Fluffle, Dark World, Pendulum, and Zodiac all remain. 3 decks looking to play very little Yu-Gi-Oh! And one that's just non-engine. Here we've got our Fluffle Gamer versus our Dark World Gamer, and thankfully the Fluffle Gamer has won the die roll, so we will get to see a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! Today. Garden into Bear into Toy Vendor. We'll go ahead and flip up that Toy Vendor and draw a Toy Vendor pitch. Unfortunately, an Edge Imp Chain. We'll trigger the effect of the Chain and the effect of the Toy Vendor. We can grab a copy of Dolphin and a copy of Patchwork. Patchwork here is going to grab an Edge Imp Scythe and a Poly. We'll go Penguin to summon Dolphin. Dolphin here to cycle the Toy Vendor again. And we'll pitch that Wings. We're going to Bahamut Shark here into a Totally Awesome, into Wings, targeting Bear. That's going to pop the Toy Vendor and plus us just to infinity here. We'll go Foolish Burial Goods to send a Toy Vendor graveyard. We'll activate the effect of the Toy Vendor and grab a copy of Dog. We're going to activate Polymerization here in order to summon a copy of Cruel Whale's Thesis. We'll trigger the effect of it and the effect of the Pengu as well. We'll pitch another Foolish Burial Goods, then repair into the Pengu, into the Dog. Dog here is going to grab from deck to hand a copy of Sheepy, and then we're going to go into a Cross Sheep of our own. Sheep comes down, it's pointing to a Cruel Whale, so we can bring back the Pengu. Sheep to bounce the Dog, and then afterwards we can summon out the Edge Imp Chain into an Unchained Soul of Yama. Yeah, there's good cards in here. We're going to go for the effect of the Penguin in order to summon out the Dog once again, and then we're going to go for an Abyss Dweller into Sharvara, target the Toy Vendor. God, that's strong as hell. Okay, Toy Vendor here, and then we'll go into a Rage Sharvara in order to set from deck and escape of the Unchained, and finally end on a Sprint, sending a Merly. I'd imagine Merly here is going to enable a copy of, you guessed it, Dragostapelia. Hell of an end board, by the way. Hell of an end board. All right, good luck winning without your graveyard, asshole. All right, we'll go for the effect of Choop. It hits itself into Nessie hitting itself. Easy. So it's time for game 2, and the Fluffle player has drawn one piece of interaction. That's something. All right, King Sark time. King Sark, let's pitch this Imseti for a happy. Allure of Darkness here. We're going to go ahead and draw some cards. We'll bring back the Imseti. We're going to go into the Zombie Vampire. It's Desperation time. What did we hit? Actually, a whole lot of nothing. That could have gone way worse for the Fluffle player. They're going to go Herald on
Sliding
this effect
ice
here,
tile
and
puzzle.
unfortunately, it's just not enough. That Dugaris is going to do it. They'll draw 2, discard 1. It's Nessie. They're going to go ahead and grab a Mothman, then fire off Genta. Genta just such a strong card. Into Allure of Darkness here, probably banishing the Mothman. Yep, and then we're going to go Gates of Dark World. We're going to banish the Genta for this Rainbow. Rainbow triggers, Genta triggers, it'll summon itself. And then afterwards, we can activate the effect of the Rainbow to summon itself. Genta here grabs another Gates, not once per turn, by the way, into the effect of the Gates in order to pitch this copy of Saluri. Saluri to the field, and guess what? We have a Silva in hand now. Summon itself and shuffle 2 of them back. Just got to make that happen one more time. Dark Corridor for a Grapha, pitches Snow. Snow is going to grab a copy of Accession.
I really don't like
Silva,
all this
into
text
Grapha,
patronizing
into
you.
This Accession is going to make
In
a Grapha
Untold
into a Grapha,
too.
pop the Saluri, and then of course afterwards we can
In
summon
the
out
original
Grapha and activate Mothman,
game
Mothman,
for
Mothman,
1 and
Mothman,
2,
afterwards
and
up to Sonthan.
obviously
Well, we can
3
pitch the
as
copy
well.
of Toy Vendor here, which does trigger it and get them to dog.
This
And we'll go
dialogue
into,
like
of
that,
course, McCraker summoning back this copy of Saluri.
doesn't
From here, we'll
happen.
put it back in the hand, then activate
Like when you
Accession,
first
and activate
encounter
effect of
the
Saluri to
sliding
summon 2
ice
opponents out of
puzzle,
the field into a Silva. That's right, we're
there's
still
no
starting
fanfare
with
about
0
it.
cards in
You just
hand.
kind
What
of
a
gotta
fun game.
figure it out
We
on
go
your
into
own,
Nightmare
basically.
Unicorn, into Grapha,
Yeah,
into
no
Griffin,
shit.
into
We
Pitch,
understand. We're
into
not
Reset Dark
babies.
Corridor, why not?
And
Set
most of
1
us
and
don't
pass.
even
Draw for
like
turn, It's gonna
reading.
get Grapha no matter what it is.
And they're just
Damn
gonna
good
skip it
card, but not
anyway.
good enough. So it's time for that all-important game 3, and oh my god, the Dark World player has drawn interaction. Holy shit, he drew Rescue Ace Impulse.
Why would
All right,
we
let's
want
go.
to attack
Let's go.
them?
Okay, we're beginning with Foolish Burial. Good
Well,
send
okay,
Toy
if
Vendor.
we
Toy
don't
Vendor
attack
effect.
them,
Go ahead and
maybe
grab a
they'll
dolphin,
ambush
normal
us or
dolphin, activate
something.
the effect. And afterwards, we are just gonna go
Violence
ahead
is
and
the
send a wings.
question,
We're gonna
and the
special
answer's
summon
always
Sheep,
yes.
Pitch the dolphin, and it's Impulse time. Impulse into Fire Attacker. All right, what are we doing here? Edge of Chain into Cross Sheep. Edge of Chain is going to be able to trigger the Fire Attacker. Here we go. What are we popping? We can pitch the Grapha. That pops the Cross Sheep. Yo, it's crazy. It's like a bootleg copy of Herald. Oh my god, and they drew into another piece of non-engine in Baldrake. Wait, this deck is crazy. All right, okay, afterwards we're going to go Fluffle Bear in order to set a Toy Vendor. We'll go Toy Vendor effect. Afterwards we'll activate the effect, pitching a Toy Vendor into Octopus. Pretty sick rip. Into Toy Vendor into Pangu. Pangu effect in order to summon out this Dolphin. And we're going to make a Bahamut into Toad. All right, I hope you didn't really like that Baldrake. All right, time for polymerization. They're going to make a Cruel Whale's Thesis into Cruel Whale, into Penguin, into
Are you
Cruel
fucking
Whale.
with me
We'll
right
go ahead
now?
and send a Repair and draw a couple cards. We'll this Orange Light. We'll pop the Toy Vendor too. Why not? We'll go for Repair in order to special out this Dog, activate Dowd into Bear, and we'll go for Keldo pitching Bear. That's so funny from Ridora. All right, but Boosker in attack into Unchained Soul of Yama. It's a fiend. Oh my god, this deck is silly. All right, we're going Rage. Okay, what are we going to do here? Beginning with Impulse. We're going to activate the effect of the Impulse. That's crazy. It feeds out the Toad. We'll take the Impulse, of course. Then afterwards, we're going to activate the Toad in order to grab back this copy of the Pengu. They're going to go for Genta into Gates of Dark World, into, of course, Escape of the Unchained. Let's go ahead and pop that sucker into Yama, into Rage. Oh my god, Rage is crazy. It enables you to get the Scythe back in hand. They go for the Baldrake, but we do have the Heralds. The Scythe is going to be in grip, as is the Rage. Mothman here is going to, unfortunately, use Self. That puts them down the card. They'll pitch Snow. Snow enables Accession. Accession here into Keldo. That should be all she wrote. And afterwards, they are just going to go ahead and activate Accession's Graveyard effect, pitching this Rainbow. Rainbow enables an access to Grapho. They're going to go for Scythe at end of main into Cruel Whale, into Fluffle Octopus as well. It's going to allow them to put a bunch of cards back in the graveyard, the board, and draw for turn. This should be the end of the game. Fight for Patchwork into a Polymerization and the Edge of the Chain, into a Polymerization, into a Guardian Chimera, into a Merly, into an Accession, into a Keldo once again. Back in the graveyard. Let's go. That does still resolve because the Grapha is in hand. We'll go to Dragon Atelia, and that's going to be effective to Grapha and big Grapha as well. But Mudora makes quick work of all of that. We at least do get to pop this copy of Dragon Atelia, which unfortunately for them triggers Yama. 33 plus whatever, an additional 1,000 or 2 should be enough to clean up this game. That was crazy. I hate the shufflers. Our other top 4 matches, Pendulum versus Zodiac, and you could have fooled me. God, look at that hand. That's a thing of beauty right there. All right. So serious pendulum players got cooking up, I imagine. Some Scully's over for a copy of Odd Eyes Rev Dragon. That's cool. Power Load and Ignister, and they're going to go ahead and activate the effect of the Power Load in order to summon the Ignister into Beyond the Pendulum. They're going to activate that effect in order to grab a Majesty Maiden, or Pegasus rather. They're going to set that and Pendulum summon 1, 2, 3 cards, and then activate the effect of the Majesty Pegasus for another. Next, we're going to overlay for Bagoosker and pass turn. Cool. All right, draw for turn, and, Upstart Goblin leads the way, and hey, what do you know? That resolves all of our standing problems. We're going to go Pankratops into Raigeki. They'll trigger the effect of the Soul Piercer. That's some. We'll go Battle Phase, the Pankratops effect, main phase 2, set 2, pass turn. Okay, don't think that this is really going to be enough. We're going to go Pankratops here in order to pop the Majesty Pegasus into Majesty Pegasus. We knew we had that. Into Skullcrabat Joker, into Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon, into Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon, into Luster. They're going to Pendulum summon 1, 2, 3, 4 cards into this card. We're just going to start Ignistering. That's going to eat a Widow Anchor, which is something. They do get to take it here into another Ignister, which is also something. They're going to special summon Ignis and activate the effect of the Ignister, pop the Ignis in order to get that guy back in the extra deck into Ignis into Luster Pendulum. We'll go Power Load here into Twin Twister. That's a cool Twin Twister, right? Not cool enough because we do still have plays, shockingly. Revolution Dragon here is going to be able to cycle back for Ignister Prominence in order to summon a Draco Slayer. We're going to go for Dynamite Power Load into Dinoster Power. We will go ahead and activate the effect of the Dinoster Power to summon out the Luster Pendulum into the Cross Sheep, and then we'll just go to Battle Phase with our slightly boosted monsters. That's what you're using Cross Sheep for the attack points? All right, every one of these zoo hands makes me giggle. Oh no! Oh no! This may be over before it begins. All right, obviously we're going to lead Curtain Raiser, and we'll special it to our side of the field. Next, we're going to activate Waka Ushi. Activate the effect of the Waka Ushi in order to summon itself, and a Big Benkai. Big Benkai time. We'll go ahead and grab this copy of Soul Piercer. We're going to activate the effect of Soul Piercer on the Waka Ushi into an Ignister Prominence, into the Waka Ushi, into the Soul Piercer. We're going to scale the Waka Ushi, and then afterwards we're going to trigger the effect of the Ignister Prominence, and we will summon the Majesty Pegasus. We're going to go Majesty Pegasus here for a Sky Iris, then we'll go into Beyond the Pendulum. We'll activate the effect of the Beyond the Pendulum in order to grab an Astrograph, then we'll Pendulum summon 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. Afterwards, we go Exceed the Pendulum.
Good to see you, explorers.
Are you the explorers in search of the Snow Blues? The Grand Duchy sent word that they'd be sending aid. We were the elite, sent on the minister's orders to find the Snow Blues, but conditions here are worse than we'd imagined. The slippery ice keeps us from progressing. We can't find the flowers. We're staying out of trouble and only searching during the day, but maybe that's not enough.
Could I ask your help?
This task was too much for us. Do you think we could leave the rest to you? Really, you guys can't do some simple sliding tile puzzles?
Good to see you, explorers.
Welcome. Let me know if the guest book is here.
Exceed in order to grab back the Waka Ushi into this stupid thing. Virus Swordsman, into Zero Day, into Virus Berserker, into into Zero Day, into Virus Swordsman, into Firewall Dragon is back, and he's bigger than ever. Sky Iris popping Wakaushi enables us to get Revolution Dragon. We're going to activate Revolution Dragon and use it to cycle back this copy of Ignister Phoenix. We'll activate Prominence here in order to summon from deck a copy of Luster Pendulum. We're going to go ahead and pop this Ignis Phoenix to pop the Big Ben Kai. That triggers the Ignis Phoenix and the Astrograph Sorcerer. God, how are we not done? We'll especially the Astrograph Sorcerer, grab another copy of that Rev Dragon, go into a cross sheet. Wait, what the fuck? Wait, hold up. Is that the V-Link?
Come in.
Wait, what?
Everyone.
We U-linked them? Holy moly. All right, I guess our board's full now. We decided we didn't want it. We're going to go Baguska instead. Wait, what are we doing? There's no reason to do this. And we're finally going to end on Secret Village before passing turn. Good luck, asshole.
Thank you for your business.
Oh my god.
Thanks for coming.
That might be the worst game of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Sure.
I've watched this year. That's unbelievable. Well, we have made it all the way to the final. It turns out when you take all the pieces of interaction out of the format, the two decks that rise to the top are apparently Fluffle, which has its own in-archetype hand traps, and Pendulum, which just does not play Yu-Gi-Oh! Alright, so for the final, it looks like our Fluffle player is going first. They have drawn a hand that includes Eldritch the Golden Lord. Happy Pride, by the way. We're going to go FB Goods. This hand looks pretty weak. You don't really want to find Eldritch that early in that FB Goods. Campaign. Is real sus. We'll go Toy Vendor here. I imagine we're pitching the Eldritch, yeah, and we hit a Herald. They're going to go ahead and DD Crow the Eldritch, so we can't even eat the Toy Vendor. We're going to go Dolphin here in order to target the Toy Vendor. We're going to have to pick something good off this Wings. We'll go into Bahamut Shark, into Toad. Here we're going to go for the Wings, targeting the Bear. We will go ahead and, find an Edgimp Chain and a Poly. That's not bad. Poly here is going to get us to a Cruel Whale's Thesis, into an Edgimp Chain, into a effective Cruel Whale in order to send a copy of Tiger here. We'll get the Repair and go for the Repair, targeting the Tiger in order to get the Chain back, then Royal Pengu's Garden for a Penguin. Here we're going to Yama. Yama effect is going to grab us a copy of Sharvara. We'll go into a Sprint. The Sprint effect is going to send Murley. Murley's going to translate into a copy of Dragon.
I should probably wait until I get all of the material off the gathering
point. We have set to trigger the effect of Yama and the Toy Vendor as well. We'll grab Octopus here and summon back a Chain into Rage. Sharvara here sets a copy of Escape, and then we can just go ahead and set the goods. We were able to make that work. I'm pleased. We'll lead Skullcrobat Joker. That's going to get Dragus to Peliod. Okay, Wakaushi time. I imagine that's getting negated. No, we're going to let it resolve. We're letting it happen. We're going to go Rage here, targeting the Wakaushi, though, in order to go into Nightmare Unicorn, and that's going to be a concession. So it's time for game 2, and oh my god, wait, we have cards for going first. Judgment. Okay. All right, so looks like we are actually going to have to play against something. We've got the Curry Car, we've got the Edgem Scythe. We're going to go Curtain Raiser into Wakaushi.
I did say, thanks to us doing Final Fantasy, that yyyy
chain to itself, sending
just
a
has time travel powers.
Its destruction. They're going to go into Beyond the Pendulum here in order to
we're
grab
trading with our
scale Maiden,
future set
Ignis,
past
and then I imagine
selves.
we'll start Pendulum summoning. Let's get out 1, 2 of these bad boys.
That's the only way this makes even a lick of sense.
For a Dinoster. We'll go for the Ignister Prominence. Let's go ahead and special summon this copy of Pendulum.
If we're lucky, we'll get all the preludes.
In order to, I imagine, shuffle this bad boy back. Ignis is going to translate into a Majesty Maiden, into a Dynamite Power Load, into an Exceed the Pendulum. Exceed the Pendulum here is going to get us back this copy of Ignis Phoenix. We'll go for the Majesty Pegasus, into Majesty Pegasus, into Secret Village of the Spellcasters once again. Secret Village plus Exceed plus Abyss Dweller. Devastating. We're going to go Abyss Dweller here. That's a good draw, but not fantastic. We're going to lead with Curry Car Divinity.
No, we
That's
get
going to
it.
force out the Solemn, because otherwise it contests the Exceed and turns on spells.
I get it.
We're going to go for Keldo here into Mudora. We're going to overlay for Baguska, go to battle phase, walk over this card, and then Zeus the remaining board. All right, you do what you have to, I guess. FB Goods the Toy Vendor, and we will pass turn. Of course, we are still under this copy of Abyss Dweller. Pass turn again, and after all this nonsense, we have somehow found ourselves at parity. Wait, they're 100 off with the normal summon. 0 Day coming in hot.
I'll keep an eye on
They're going to set it. Draw for turn. I guess you go for it. Sky Thunder into Astrograph Sorcerer. Okay, we can't clear that. Drawing for turn. That's a good one. We're going to set one card and pass turn. Draw for turn. It's Edgem Scythe. We're going to normal summon Herald into Sprint. Oh, this might be it. Sprint into Herald into Repair. Special out the Scythe. Go to the battle phase. Over the Astrograph. And we take 100. No, we're still in it. Okay, we're still playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Draw for turn into Skullcrobat. That's crazy. Okay, Skullcrobat here gets a copy of Rev Dragon. We're going to scale the Rev Dragon. We can't activate its fucking effect because it takes 500. We're going to go for the Keldo here. Shuffle everything back. That Rev Dragon Dragon's useless, but this Magister Paladin probably isn't. We'll go ahead and activate its effect, but oh no, the sprint is on! I can't believe it. I can't believe that's what it came down to. Oh. And your winner is Fluffle. So what did we learn here today? Well, if you ban all the good cards, it does shake up the meta. But it just replaces that annoying meta with a second annoying meta. And if you take hand traps out of the format, the decks that rise to the top invariably play their own stupid in-archetype hand traps. What I'm trying to say is, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not only broken, it broke so long ago we can no longer do anything about it. And now cards that are incredibly irritating, like Ash Blossom and Droll Mockbird, have become load-bearing.
Hey,
Bye.
you guys! How's it going? Say what?
Huh. Wanna move into Armor Road?
This one, huh? Yep. So you see. Good luck.
That's what those weird thingies are for then.
This one, huh? You gotta be kidding. All right. Which one you thinking? This one, huh? Say what? Well, I'm counting on you.
Welcome.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Nice.
Thank you for your business.
What was the
Hey,
weapon?
you guys!
The red
Not
bomb.
bad. Sure. This one, huh? Huh? So you see, well, I'm counting on you.
Oh, come in. Oh, everyone. I'll be could I help you with anything else? I'll take good care of them. Thank you for your business. Welcome. The guest book is here. Good luck.
Summer, fall, winter. I guess spring would be the next dungeon theme, wouldn't it? Oh wait, yeah, it is. I've technically already been spoiled since I played Nexus. And the Etrian Odyssey 2 themed dungeon there was the spring forest in the sky. Nice. Koishi bird brain.
Tetris. We all know it, and we all love it. Few games have had the lasting legacy of Tetris.
Do we
There
all
have been
love
versions
it?
released on nearly every console and smartphone ever made. And to this day, these new versions remain popular among fans and casual gamers alike. But perhaps the most well-known version of Tetris is the version released on the Nintendo Entertainment System back in 1989. Gamers never stopped playing it ever since its initial release, and in recent years, it's absolutely exploded in popularity. There are huge in-person tournaments, monthly competitions online, and most importantly, a crazy chase for the high score world record. This record has had 35 years of history, featuring some of the best players to ever pick up an NES controller. And it has one of the most insane stories from start to finish that I've ever seen. This is the history of NES Tetris World Records. And now a word from this video's sponsor, Opera GX. Look, we all know that Opera GX is the best web browser for gamers. It's easy to switch to, uses GX Control to limit your use of resources, and is super customizable. But today, we're introducing its newest feature, a Summoning Salt GX mod. It has an awesome retro gaming wallpaper, as well as custom sound effects featuring yours truly. So here it is. Thanks. It's super easy to add. Just go to the GX store, type in Summoning Salt, and hit install. But there's also thousands of other mods to pick from. And that's not all Opera GX does. There's also GX Corner, where you can stay up to date with the latest in gaming news, deals, and even get free games, all in one place. There's also new features with AI, saving you time by summarizing articles or talking with ChatGPT on the sidebar. If you want the best web browser out there, download Opera GX using my dedicated tracking link. Just click the link in the description or pinned comment. Thanks again to Opera GX for sponsoring this video. There are two main concepts to understand in NES Tetris, the scoring and the level system. We'll start with the scoring. Like with most versions of the game, you accumulate points in NES Tetris by clearing lines. You get a different amount of points depending on how many you clear at once, but by far the most valuable score is getting a Tetris. The only way to score one of these is by using the long piece vertically to clear 4 lines. So ideally, players try to score as many Tetrises as possible by leaving a column open on the right side to drop a long bar when it comes. Then there's the level system. The higher the level, the more points you get per line cleared. So ideally, you want to start on the highest level possible, which is level 19. However, on level 18, blocks descend a row every 3 frames, while starting on level 19, they descend a row every 2 frames, which is significantly harder. So, top players would generally start on level 18, where they could play for a while at a more reasonable speed at barely any score cost. After 130 lines cleared at level 18, the game transitions to level 19, and then moves up a level for every additional 10 lines. Luckily, levels 19 through 28 all have the same descent speed, although you keep earning more points as the level increases. This is an
All of their
extremely
attacks are
brutal
ice.
speed to play on, but if you manage to
That
make it all the way
actually
through
changes a
level
lot of
28,
things.
you reach level 29, also known as Tetris's kill screen. A kill screen is a level deep into a game that's usually impossible to beat because of a glitch. Pac-Man has the most famous one. The game's 256th board has a glitched right side and doesn't spawn all the dots needed to beat it. Donkey Kong is another example, where you run out of time just seconds into the game's 117th screen. Tetris's kill screen, on the other hand, has nothing to do with a glitch. It's the intended end to the game, because starting on level 29, pieces begin to fall so fast that it becomes unplayable. This is Tetris's kill screen. Even if you begin holding a direction before the piece spawns, it's physically impossible to move the piece to the side in time. Pieces descend a row every single frame, twice the speed of level 28. Now, it's actually possible to process what's happening at this speed and know where you want the pieces to go. But the fact is, you just can't get them there. It's a game hardware limitation rather than a human hardware limitation. If you're very lucky, you might not need to move your pieces far and you can clear a line or two. But just like Pac-Man or Donkey Kong, your game is bound to end within seconds after reaching Tetris's kill streak. So the game is definitely over at level 29. But before that point, you have 230 lines to work with and try to score as many points as possible. It just so happens that the point display in the upper right corner only has 6 digits, meaning the highest score it can display is 999,999 points. So naturally, the question arose, was it possible to max out the score before the kill screen kicked in? Well, in order to get a max out, you have to make the most of the 230 lines. That means getting as many Tetrises as possible while avoiding other clears that eat into your 230 lines, otherwise known as a burn. It's extremely risky to play this way. You might need to build your stack up very high while waiting for a long bar. And there's not a moment of rest. You can't break your focus for even a second. But as brutal as the difficulty is, it's technically just possible to max out the score before the kill screen kicks in. And there are actually reports of people doing it all the way back in the 90s. It's difficult to determine how to treat these claims. Standards were different back then, and none of these claims need full video to play. However, some have more proof than others. Thor Ackerland, winner of the 1990 Nintendo World Championships, is reported to have maxed out the game in the early 90s. He didn't record his game, but being the literal winner of the Nintendo World Championships, he was one of the best Tetris players in the world at the time. Judging by his skills and the testimony of people who watched him play, it's very likely that his claim was legitimate. Another max out claim appeared in a 1992 edition of Nintendo Power magazine from a player named Scott Anderson. Very little is known about Anderson today, but in order to get your score in Nintendo Power, you did need to have photo proof. So there's a decent chance his score was legit too.
Good to see you, Explorers.
And another player, yyyy Tetris, claimed a max out back in 1996 that seemed to have no proof, but 25 years later, he managed to uncover a VHS tape of the end screen that, sure enough, showed all 9s. While it still lacks concrete video proof, this is probably the claim with the most evidence, and is very likely legit. Then, by the 2000s, all sorts of max out claims appeared on internet forums. None of them had video proof, and honestly, they're really hard to judge. Some seem more suspicious than others, but just like with the claims from the 90s, it's really impossible to say which of these internet claims were legit. Some provided their names, while others used pseudonyms or usernames. And in 2001, a max out claim popped up on PlutoBseen.com from someone named Jonas. Just like all the other claims, Jonas didn't have any proof to back up his score, so his claim was lumped in with all the rest. However, in 2005, a man named Trey Harrison was trying to accumulate videos of Tetris performances to put up on his website, TetrisMaster.com. He was looking for a recorded max out, and sure enough, in the replies, up pops Jonas again, saying he just recorded one on tape.
Really?
Jonas dropped the video off at Trey's house. Trey uploaded it onto his website. And it was then that the world was first able to see on video a max out score of NES Tetris. A score showing all 9s by future Tetris legend, Jonas Neubauer. What you're watching is a massive piece of gaming history. These scores have been rumored for over a decade, but finally, one was captured on video. And the footage is very impressive. Jonas started on level 18, and to make the level transition, he first had to clear 130 lines. He ended up getting 92 of those lines via Tetrises for maximum points, while just 38 were from burns. From there, Jonas was playing at the brutal speed of level 19, but he still had to keep landing Tetrises. His score was inching up as the levels climbed higher. he needed the max out before hitting level 29. On level 28, he was still 60,000 points away, with only 10 lines to work with. But he managed to get one Tetris, and then with just a single line to go before the transition, he got one final Tetris. The kill screen kicked in, and the score read all 9s. Over the course of 8.5 minutes, Jonas had hit a max out on NES Tetris. And finally, it was documented for anyone to see. The feedback online was all positive. Everyone was thrilled to be able to watch an official Tetris max out. However, this video did have one problem. There was no game audio included. That meant Jonas couldn't submit it as a world record anywhere. But that didn't take away from the legitimacy of the performance. Jonas Neubauer had established a name for himself as a Tetris master. Only question was, now that someone had maxed out the game, what was there left to do? Over the following few years, while competitive retro gaming was still in its infancy, more people gravitated toward playing NES Tetris. Even though Jonas had maxed out the score, it remained a popular game, and others tried to replicate his achievement. Between 2008 and 2014, more than a dozen other people were able to achieve max outs in NES Tetris. And even though their scores were officially tied, there were still ways to compare max outs to each other. Ultimately, two different methods of competing became popular. Method number 1, going for the earliest possible max out. In Jonas's game from 2005, he hit the max out right as the level transitioned to 29. In other words, at the last possible moment. But the more Tetrises you hit, the earlier you can max out, and the more impressive the achievement. In April 2009, Harry Hong produced the first reported max out with game audio, and he was able to get the max out slightly earlier than Jonas, late in level 28 rather than on the transition into level 29. Harry was one of several people who claimed to max out on internet forums years prior, but now he had recorded proof too. In early 2012, a player named Matt Bucco recorded a game where he maxed out in mid-level 26, much quicker than previous max outs. He landed Tetris after Tetris starting in level 19, which is where he pulled away from previous players. And then, there were a couple claimed early max outs. Harry Hong claimed an early level 26 max out on tape.
I can't do anything with that weapon.
Only claiming it on a Tetris forum. And in August 2014, a player named Terry Purcell reportedly maxed out in late level 25. This score used to have video, but it's since been deleted from YouTube. Most of these players' only goal was to get an early max out. As soon as that happened, they stopped playing and let the game end, even if it was several levels before the kill screen.
Thanks for coming.
However, not everyone did this, and that's why there was a second method of competing.
I'll keep an eye on him.
Playing the game
Anything
all the way
else you
to the
need?
kill screen, and then manually calculating the score later. In other words, trying for the highest score possible.
Whoa.
Even though the score doesn't display higher than all 9s, you can still add up all the points achieved after this to determine your true score. For instance, in Jonas's first ever max out, he got a Tetris while his score read this. That meant he added 36,000 points, and his score actually finished at 1,018,160 points. And so, this became another method of determining whose max out was best. In 2008, Jonas achieved another kill screen that finished slightly higher than his 2005 max out, 1,023,860 points. However, since he used a camera from the 1800s, this was never verified as an official world record. In 2011, while recording himself for a documentary, Thor Ackerland achieved a score of 1,043,000 points. And a couple years later, a player named Ben Mullen took the score even higher, 1,071,000 points, before the kill screen took over to end his game. However, if the players going for the earliest max out had finished out their games, it's possible they would have achieved higher scores than these. Terry Purcell's level 25 max out is reported to have finished all the way at 1.195 million, but without video proof, this can't be verified. And although Matt Bucco's score of level 26 cuts off right here, he claims to have kept playing this game all the way to the kill screen. And in the comments, he says he'd upload the rest when he got home. Well, it's 12 years later, and apparently Matt still hasn't returned home. So, the community was split between these two methods. Some wanted to go for the earliest max out, while others wanted to go for the highest score. The big problem was the score display. Since it only had 6 digits, it wasn't intuitive to keep playing after it maxed out. It led to 2 different sides of competitive play. And these sides wouldn't converge until one key event in 2015. This is a Game Genie code discovered by Max Out player Josh Tolles. It changes the leading digit of the score into hexadecimal, meaning that after 9, the score keeps counting up. A represents 1 million, B represents 1.1 million, and so on. This meant that the max out no longer applied, and the score was no longer capped at 1 million. So, it ultimately garnered the nickname the Uncap code. Josh posted his code on the Tetris forums, and it was treated as a fun novelty, but some saw potential for more with it. In April 2015, Harry Hong began attempts to set a new high score with the Uncap code. On April 23rd, he played a game that maxed out in level 28, then took it to the kill screen and finished with 1,101,000 points. This was the first verifiable game to score over 1.1 million. And a few days later, he got one even better. A max out in level 26 that ultimately finished at 1,150,000 points. But after these records from Harry, the competition for the high score record died down. Harry Hong was one of few players who both cared about the high score record and was potentially good enough to improve it. So when he stopped trying for it, there was no competition to take it from him. Instead, in 2016, he came up with a goal of achieving as many max outs as he could in a year, rather than improving the uncapped record. 268 max outs later, the high score remained at 1.15 million. But in 2017, Harry came up with a new goal for his stream. He was going to go back to playing with the uncapped code and try for a 1.2 million point game. This would surpass the highest claims from over the years and be an undisputed world record. Harry played for weeks, building up his skills but falling short of the 1.2. He'd need an early max out in level 25 or better, and then still need to land several more Tetrises before the kill screen. A score like this demanded near perfection. But after months of attempts, on April 14th, 2017, Harry got a good score going. A max out in mid-level 25, Harry was on pace for it. From this point, he needed at least 5 Tetrises before hitting the kill screen on level 29. Harry got his Tetrises, but was still a few points short. With his stack building high, he desperately used a long bar to get a triple, but this activated the kill screen. He still needed 3,000 points. Harry had to find a way to clear 2 more lines while playing at kill screen speed.
Yes! Yes!
History was made. The congratulations poured in as Harry had taken Tetris to new heights. After all the max outs that came before him, from the internet claims to the ones with concrete proof, this one was the best of all. Except, it's never quite that easy with NES Tetris. There are reports that, around the time of Harry's 1.2, a player named Bo Steele achieved a 1.2 million game of his own. nobody remembers what his exact score was, or what the level of proof was. But Bo is a verified max-out player, so his score claim isn't unreasonable. Still, Harry Hong gets the most credit for being the first to achieve 1.2 million. And he was one of the best players in the world, one of the few who was capable of a score this high. However, as good as Harry was, there was still another player who had potential to go even higher. See, every year since 2010, the biggest Tetris tournament was the Classic Tetris World Championship, where the best NES Tetris players in the world competed. Of the 7 annual tournaments by this point, 1 had been won by Harry Hong. As for the rest, all 6 were won by the same player, Jonas Neubauer.
And your winner of the 2016 Classic Tetris World Championships, 6-time world champion, Jonas Neubauer!
In the 12 years since his first recorded max out, Jonas had turned into a monster. Every year, he went head-to-head against Tetris's best players. And time again, Jonas proved better than the rest. His stacking was brilliant, and he was able to get out of trouble when others couldn't. Jonas Neubauer was simply considered the best NES Tetris player on Earth. Yet through all this, he'd never really cared about the score world record. He was more focused on tournaments. But in 2017, he started streaming on Twitch. And on July 24th, he booted up a casual game of Tetris. That was 17 straight Tetrises to open the game. Unbelievable. He slowed down a bit after that, but still managed to max out in mid-level 26. And then, he landed 6 more Tetrises before the kill screen. Jonas's score read all 9s since he wasn't using the uncap code, but in reality, his score was 1,211,000 points. On a random game where he didn't even bother to use the uncap code, Jonas had just set a new world record. After this, Jonas went back to focusing on tournaments, not caring to improve the high score record anymore. And while other players continued to put up new scores, some of which were over 1 million, very few were able to approach a score of 1.2 million. This type of game was reserved for only the best of the best Tetris players, and even they couldn't consistently put up scores like this. It took a lot of luck to get long bars when you need them. So, Jonas instead prepared for the 2017 Classic Tetris World Championship. And that November, he officially made it 7 World Championship victories.
There it is! Jonas is your champion! 2017 champion!
There was nobody else on his level. And in June 2018, a year after his 1.21 million game, Jonas set out to improve the score world record, trying to take it to a level where nobody else could even touch it. This time, Jonas wasn't messing around. He was using the uncap code, so he could know right away what his score was. On June 13th, he got a really good game going, a max out in level 25. After landing 5 more Tetrises, his score was just short of 1.2 million, with only 4 lines until the kill screen. Jonas built a center well, waiting for the long bar that would push him over the top. And then, he got it.
Let's go!
New world record, 1.23 million. But Jonas wasn't satisfied yet. A week later, he managed another level 25 max out. He then got 6 more Tetrises, pushing his score past 1.2 million. 1 more Tetris, and he'd have another record. But then, his stack started building high. Jonas wasn't getting a long bar, and he was quickly running out of room. Yet, he didn't panic, and finally, the long bar came.
Oh, let's go! Get out of my face!
A 15,000 point improvement to the world record. This was the state of NES Tetris in mid-2018. There were many good players, some of whom could score over 1 million points. But when all else was held equal, Jonas usually came out on top. He always won the World Championship. He had the score record, and it was intimidating to compete against him. It seemed like, as long as he wanted to hold the high score world record, he'd be able to do so. That is, unless Corian had something to say about it. In 2016, a player named Corian posted a video of his first NES Tetris max out.
Here you go.
By this point, several players had achieved the max out, so the achievement alone wasn't too notable. However, when he posted a video with a hand cam, Corian was shown to be doing something very differently. He was mashing the D-pad to move the pieces laterally, rather than simply holding it down. In Tetris, there's a concept known as the delayed auto shift, or DAS. When you hold down the D-pad in NES Tetris, your piece will auto shift to the side every 6 frames, or 10 times per second. This is quite fast, and leaves you with enough time to navigate even on the breakneck speed of level 19. However, Corian is from Japan, and NES Tetris was never actually released in Japan. So, his background was from playing various other versions of Tetris, including the Game Boy edition. In Game Boy Tetris, when you hold down the D-pad, the piece hesitates momentarily and then moves roughly 7 times per second. This process is too slow when playing at higher levels, so Game Boy Tetris players have to repeatedly repress the D-pad to move their pieces quickly enough. And since Corian was used to playing this and various arcade games, it was only natural to match the D-pad in NES Tetris as well. But this actually gave Corian an advantage. He was able to accurately mash faster than DAS normally moved the pieces. He could move blocks just a little bit quicker than normal. And it meant that once he reached the kill screen on level 29, he actually stood a chance to clear a few lines. He couldn't play for long, but it wasn't necessarily an instant game over. In June 2017, he managed to clear 10 lines on level 29 and reach level 30. Only a couple other players had ever done that before, and not surprisingly, they had to use a form of hyper-tapping to pull it off. Ultimately though, this just let Corian get a few more points before topping out. If he wanted to beat the score world record, he needed to focus on getting more Tetrises before the kill screen. He spent months improving his skills. By August 2017, he became the 3rd player to pass 1.2 million. But as Jonas kept improving the record, Corian found himself falling behind. And by June 2018, the score to beat was 1.245 million. But Corian didn't want to give up. Even though he was a bit behind Jonas, the potential with hyper-tapping was just too strong. That summer, Corian began a push for the world record. And on June 24th, he had a strong game going. Landing Tetris after Tetris, Corian's score climbed past 600,000. Then, the game transitioned to level 19. This is where hyper-tapping would really come into play. Right away, he managed to get a long bar over in a spot that would have been risky with DAS. He kept on going, precisely navigating pieces while frantically mashing on the D-pad. He ended up maxing out the score during level 25, just about tied with Jonas' world record. The Tetrises continued, and eventually, Corian found himself at 1.22 million, with only 1 line until the kill screen. He just needed 1 more Tetris. Corian was praying that it would come in time.
1. Freeze! Freeze, come on! Yes! Woo! Yes! 1.25. Woo!
This was the first ever game past 1.25 million. Finally, 7-time world champion Jonas had been dethroned. This game helped prove the use of hyper-tapping. While Corian wasn't guaranteed to have topped out with DAS, there were definitely situations where hyper-tapping helped. The problem is, Corian was one of few players who could reliably hyper-tap. You not only had to mash quickly, but also do it in a controlled manner to always move your piece the exact right amount. Corian focused on other categories for the next few months, but in early 2019, he came back, looking to take the record closer to 1.3 million. And on March 5th, he'd get a good chance. His start was very smooth, and the only sketchy moment came at 800,000, when he misdropped and then narrowly brought a long bar over to the right in time. That's where hyper tapping can help you. He ended up maxing out the score in late level 25. With 30 lines until the kill screen, Corian had just enough room to get 8 more Tetrises and finish off 1 more improvement to the world record.
Yes! Yes! I'm finishing my Yes!
This was a really great game, yet still remained 27,000 points short of 1.3 million. That score still seemed like a pipe dream. The only way to do it would be to get an earlier max out, and then match Corian's 8 Tetrises afterwards. And with Corian being one of the few hyper tappers with the skill to do that, 1.3 million was just a bit out of reach. A few months after Corian's 1.27 game, one of the strangest events in Tetris history took place. One day in June 2019, a man named Tyler Peach popped up in the Discord server. Tyler said he was from Germany, and that back in the mid-90s, he scored 1.33 million in a game of NES Tetris. This was a bold claim. For one thing, it was 60,000 points ahead of the current highest known score. And for another, the uncapped code didn't exist in the 90s. So how did he know what his exact score was? Tyler tried to convince people he was legit, but he came across as some random dude just making outrageous claims. So, to show his skills, Tyler said he would attempt to qualify for the July monthly tournament. And then... Tyler proceeded to post the highest qualifying score ever for a tournament. Only a handful of players had ever achieved a 1.2, and Tyler just did it on command to show his skills. He immediately began doing live streaming attempts to break the score world record, and just days later, he achieved a score of 1.298 million, smashing the world record by 25,000 points. He maxed out in level 24, 1 level sooner than Corian did, and proceeded to match his 8 Tetrises afterwards. And while Tyler didn't use a webcam, it seemed that he too was hyper tapping. He was able to get his pieces to fly across the board. Who on earth was this guy? Were his scores faked somehow? Nobody knew for sure, and the top players had a variety of opinions. But there was nothing in Tyler's gameplay that screamed it was fake. The circumstances were just so weird. A legend from the 90s, who nobody had heard of before, coming back and crushing the competition. The story sounded too insane to be real. Well, months down the road, the truth came out. Tyler's scores were 100% legitimate, but he wasn't a real person.
It's a fraud.
Tyler was actually the alt account of one of the best Tetris players in the world. He was the teenage prodigy, Joseph Saley. Joseph came onto the Tetris scene in 2017 and spent hours watching the game's two best
freeloader.
players, Jonas and
Technically,
Corian.
the hot spring should
He learned
be
a lot
public
from them,
property.
and Joseph's skills rapidly improved. By March 2018, he achieved his first max out. By September, his score was up to 1.15 million. In less than a year, he had become a world-class player. However, there were still a handful of players who had a better score PB. But a few months later came the 2018 Classic Tetris World Championship. Joseph entered the tournament and played beautifully, defeating opponent after opponent and making it all the way to the finals. And what a surprise, the other finalist, Jonas Neubauer, the 7-time world champion. Jonas was heavily favored to defeat Joseph and take home his 8th title. But in a shocking twist, Joseph swept Jonas 3-0. Joseph Saley was now a world champion. But despite that, he didn't have the score world record. That still belonged to Corion. So, in early 2019, he made an effort to take it, first passing 1.2 million, then 1.25 million. But he still remained a bit short of the record. And that's where he decided to have some fun. Joseph started streaming attempts to an alt account and built up the Tyler Peach persona. And even though he didn't do many attempts there, one of them ended up breaking the world record. So, he decided to roll with it, before eventually revealing that he was behind it all. So now, Joseph had them both, the championship title and the score record. But even beyond that, Joseph had one specific skill that no other Tetris player had. He could actually play on the kill screen. Joseph was a hyper tapper.
Not sure if you have a weakness.
He moves pieces quicker than anyone else. The kill screen kicks in on level 29, and in September 2018, Joseph became the first person to make it to level 31 on video. A month later, he became the first to make it to level 32. It was amazing. Kill screens are not meant to be playable, but Joseph was doing it. He couldn't go for long. He was legitimately clearing lines and even full levels. He was even outsmarting the developers. Upon reaching level 30, the game's level counter appears bugged. Tetris' programmers did not expect anyone to make it here. Joseph was doing what was thought to be impossible. But as impressive as this was, it wasn't enough to get the score record. Joseph would still have to maximize his Tetrises earlier to really rack up the score. And not only that, but he wasn't the only one gunning for the world record. Harry Hong and Corion, two previous record holders in the category, were interested in trying as well. And so, it became a three-way race between Harry, Corion, and Joseph for the first 1.3 million score in NES Tetris. Harry was the first to strike. In August 2019, he got a new high score of 1.275 million. This was short of the 1.298 world record, but those who thought Tyler P was cheating considered this one the official world record. Still, it didn't reach 1.3 million. Harry would have needed one more Tetris before the kill screen to push him over the top. Instead, maybe Corion could get the 1.3. He was the more recent record holder, and his personal best remained at 1.273 million. Perhaps his hyper-tapping skills would be enough to get him there. In November, Corion had a great game going. He got a max out in level 25, then landed 7 Tetrises, pushing his score past 1.2 million. After getting another Tetris, Corion was in position to crush his PB and maybe get 1.3 million if he could just get one final Tetris. Corion got a massive long arm route and couldn't get the last Tetris he needed. But of the 3 players, one with the best chance at 1.3 million was Joseph. He'd already gotten 1.298 million on the Tyler account. He only needed a tiny improvement to get him there. Well, that December, Joseph found himself in nearly the exact same position as Corion. A max out at level 25 and needed one more Tetris for 1.3 million. This could be it. But the long bar had to come in time.
Yes! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, Jesus Christ!
Joseph already had 1.3 million, but then he landed a Tetris on the kill screen. This move was only possible with good hyper-tapping, not DAS. This gave him another 36,000 points, and pushed him past 1.35 million. It was the first time anyone had ever gotten substantial points on the kill screen in a record, and it raised all sorts of questions. Was this move realistic to replicate? How many kill screen points could you get? And since he was past 1.35 million, could Joseph get the score record to 1.4 million? This score would have nearly sounded impossible just weeks earlier. But now, there was a blueprint. We'd already seen Joseph get 1.3 million points going into the kill screen. If he could land a few Tetrises and get 100,000 points on the kill screen, that would be enough for 1.4 million. Joseph was the only player who could realistically do this, and a few months later when the pandemic hit, he decided to fully commit and make a push for the 1.4. This was going to be an intense grind. Joseph had to maximize points everywhere, both before and during the kill screen. For one thing, he decided to start on level 19 rather than 18. That meant the pieces fell faster, but it also allowed him to rack up more points. Potentially 30 to 40,000 more than starting on level 18. And Joseph needed every point he could get. He couldn't afford to burn lines. He had to nearly exclusively go for Tetrises to maximize points. Yet, as tough as all this was, it was actually the easy part of the grind. The hard part was then scoring 100,000 more points on the kill screen. Joseph could score 1.3 million by level 29, but getting the last 100,000 at this speed was brutal. As fast of a hyper tapper as he was, the kill screen was still the kill screen. You're not intended to play it. And Joseph had run after run died making it this far. Clearly, 1.4 million would require the stars to align. Well, that June, Joseph would get a chance. He got a max out in level 25 and arrived at the kill screen just shy of 1.3 million points. He'd been here before. Now, he had to make it to 1.4.
Record though. Nice.
A new record, but Joseph seemed to barely care. It was still 25,000 short of 1.4 million. This game really illustrates the dilemma of playing on the kill screen. Do you try and keep your stack low to survive as long as possible? Or try to rack up points quickly by going for Tetrises? Eventually, Joseph found a solution. Why not just get to the kill screen with a crazy score so you don't need that many points?
You got it, you got it. Oh my god, dude. Shut up, bro.
No. It's not good.
It is not fine.
Oh my god! World record though. Dude.
This pace was insane. Even scoring just one Tetris on the kill screen would have been enough for 1.4. But Joseph couldn't survive long enough to get a Tetris. He topped out just 10,000 points short. Still though, clearly he was closing in on 1.4 million. It seemed like it could be just days away. Well, on June 14th, 2020, Joseph started a game on level 18 rather than 19, and set a score of 1.384 million. This was the highest ever score from a level 18 start, a notable achievement. So, Joseph stopped recording on OBS and uploaded the video to YouTube. But then, he forgot to hit record again and continued playing for the record. Joseph was oblivious to the fact that his gameplay wasn't being saved. And hours later, he allegedly achieved a score of 1.439 million. Obviously, this game can't be viewed today. He was streaming it to a Discord call though, and one of his friends was recording the audio of the call, where you can hear people freaking out at what Joseph was doing.
Oh my god! Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? 1.4! Oh my god!
There's no video to go along with this. According to testimony from those who watched it live, This was a crazy game in the kill screen. It allowed him to blow past the 1.4 million barrier, and only a select few were able to see it. And even though there's no recording, Joseph knew what he had done and had accomplished his goal. To this day, he's still never gotten 1.4 on video. The following few months in 2020 were a strange time in Tetris history. Everyone knew the record was 1.4 million, but it technically wasn't official. It would still be a big deal the first time someone achieved 1.4 on video. That July, a player named Scotto Bozo tried using RNG manipulation to crush the world record. He was able to use a cast to predict which players would come and plan ahead accordingly. However, his score of 1.5 million was quickly deemed to be a different category. So, the focus was back on trying to break 1.4, and while there were many new players getting into the game, one stood above the rest. His name was Dog Playing Tetris. In June 2020, he became the second person ever to achieve a score of 1.3 million. He was trying to get 1.4 million alongside Joseph. And while Joseph stopped playing after his unrecorded 1.4, Dog continued trying. He was perceived as the most likely person to pull it off. Dog was a hyper-tapper like Joseph, so he had the ability to play for a while on the kill screen. And by that fall, his score was up past 1.35 million. He was closing in, and his next PB could be the one. In October, he managed to get a max out early in level 24. He was definitely on pace for 1.4 million, but the Tetrises kept coming, and by the time he hit the kill screen, his score was already at 1.367 million. He only needed 33,000 points on the kill screen. Dog Playing Tetris had to hold it together. Missed it by 14,000. This was still a new high score, but not enough to break 1.4. Even months later, the world had yet to see a score over 1.4 million on video. The combination of getting to level 29 on a good pace, and then getting enough points on the kill screen was just too much to ask. It almost mirrored the max-out claims from decades prior. Even though a 1.4 million score had very likely happened, there was still no video of one for the world to see. It remained a nearly impossible score that existed only as a legend. Now, you might think this is all a build-up to someone finally breaking through. But that's not what happened. No, something much bigger was brewing in the background. While much of the community was focused on trying for 1.4 million, little did any of them know that Tetris was about to go through a revolution. Everything was about to change. For years, there had been two ways to play NES Tetris: gas and hyper-tapping. Gas was certainly easier, but hyper-tapping had higher potential. That's how players were able to get points on the kill screen. Well, by 2020, the game's demographic at the top level had shifted younger, and virtually all of these new top players were hyper-tappers. In fact, during that year's classic Tetris World Championship, all of the players in the top 8 were hyper-tappers. It had taken over at the top level. But as dominant as this technique was, it was quite difficult.
It worked out, I suppose.
Not many people could mash that fast while still retaining good control. It limited the number of record contenders, and those who could hyper-tap sometimes developed arm and hand issues. Hyper-tapping was powerful, but it was still far from an ideal technique. So in 2020, the game's new generation began looking for alternative techniques to mash the D-pad. The leading theory was to try using multiple fingers instead of just one. Gaming legend Flyhead had a method for using 8 fingers on an arcade button, letting him mash up to 30 times per second. He also had a modified method for the smaller buttons of an NES controller. However, Tetris players had to match the D-pad, and they struggled to adapt either of these methods. The D-pad seemed to simply be too small to use multiple fingers on. They needed a bigger button. That's where a player named Cheese found something brilliant. He watched Flyhex videos and a mashing video from Silverboxer, then combined them into his own technique. If the NES D-pad was too small of a button, why not use the entire back of the controller as a button? By resting a finger on the D-pad, you can roll your fingers along the back to push the controller into it repeatedly. This allows you to rapidly press the D-pad up to 4 times, or 5 times with the thumb at the end. That's just enough to move any piece to the far left or right, and you can reach speeds upwards of 20 presses per second, twice as fast as hyper tapping. It's also much easier on the hand and arm, and allowed for much more precision. As soon as Cheese found this technique, he knew it had the chance to break NES Tetris. He had just discovered Tetris's third playstyle, rolling. While rolling clearly had the most potential of all three techniques, it was also quite tricky to learn. Even though Cheese had discovered rolling, he struggled to use it for the first few months, but he still had a head start over other players, and eventually, he started to get good with it. By early 2021, he was using it whenever he reached the kill screen. And it quickly became clear that he was able to do things that nobody else could. Cheese wasn't just playing on the kill screen, he was thriving. The best hyper tappers could last a few levels on the kill screen, but with rolling, Cheese found himself making it all the way to level 40. And remember, the kill screen kicks in way back at level 29. Simply put, the kill screen had lost its meaning. It no longer marked the automatic end of your game, at least if you were able to roll like Cheese could. By mid-2021, Cheese had the potential to take the score record, and thanks to rolling, his strategy was much different than those who came before him. His emphasis was less on maximizing points before the kill screen, but rather going as deep as possible on the kill screen while landing Tetrises. This meant he wouldn't need such a crazy score going into level 29. If he could then last long enough on the kill screen, he could beat the score record anyway.
Good luck.
That June, Cheese played games to qualify for the July monthly tournament.
Oh, of course.
On June 30th,
I'll take
he got a
those.
game that reached 1 million points by level 26. This was roughly 200k behind the world record, but Cheese knew he could make up those points on the kill screen. He reached level 29 and immediately misdropped a J piece. This could be a death sentence for a hyper tapper, but for a roller, it was an easy recovery. And from there, the gameplay just got crazier. $1.461 million. Cheese had just smashed the world record.
Veil
He had
was
just
awkwardly
cleared 80
slow.
lines on the kill screen and
She's
gotten 5
ideally supposed to
Tetrises
be
in the
fast so
process.
she can apply her
These were
things.
worth about
Her
40,000 points
debuffs.
each, and were
You want
only
debuffers
realistic
to be
with
fast.
rolling.
Buffers and debuffers.
For any top player who was still hyper tapping, this game eliminated all doubt. Rolling was the future of NES Tetris. So, throughout 2021, the game's best players all improved.
She's
at
awkwardly
rolling.
really slow.
Previously, 1.4 million was about the limit for the score record. But now, there was no telling how high it could go. Cheese had made it to level 37, but if someone could last even longer on the kill screen, or get more points before the kill screen, then they could beat the world record. The big question was, who would be the next person to do it? Well, Dog Playing Tetris was the winner of the most recent World Championships, while players Pixelandy and Huffaluffagus came in second and third place. Meanwhile, Cheese was still an active player, and he was the best at rolling. All 4 of these players were top contenders, and they each had a good chance at raising the score record. However, in a surprise to most of the community, a player named Hydrant Dude moved into second place right behind Cheese. Hydrant Dude was more known for his contributions other than his gameplay. He'd made numerous ROM hacks of Tetris, and later published videos explaining the game's code and inner workings. Beyond that, he was also a good player, but not usually considered one of the absolute best in the world.
Thanks for coming. That
But
turned out
that
pretty
changed
nice.
when he posted a score of 1.445 million, because Hydrant Dude had developed one particularly important skill. He was really good at rolling.
I've got some
And
news.
that meant he could last a long time on the kill screen. Now just 16,000 points behind the record, Hydrant Dude pushed onward. And in September, he had a game that entered the kill screen at just over
Rewards,
1.1
right?
million points.
You want to equip?
His pace was nothing too special, and he'd need more than 300,000 more points to break the record. But Hydrant Dude decided to take a different approach now. Instead of going for Tetrises, he was going to try to last as long as possible. He would have to survive for probably 15 or so levels if he wanted to accumulate 300,000 points. But like I said, Hydrant Dude was really good at rolling.
There you go. There's a 19 peak. Is that world record? Did I actually just...
2 years ago, Hydrant Dude believed 1.4 million would never happen. Now, he had just broken the world record with 1.464 million points. And he had survived all the way to level 44. At this point, it was seeming increasingly likely that 1.5 million was on the horizon. Although Hydrant Dude had survived so long on the kill screen, his pace entering it wasn't anything special. If he could score a few more points beforehand, 1.5 million could be a reality. Well, Hydrant Dude kept playing, and just a few days later, he got the pace he was looking for, 1.35 million entering the kill screen. This was nearly 250,000 ahead of the world record. After landing 3 Tetrises on the kill screen, and making it to level 41, Hydrant Dude finally topped out. But his score wasn't 1.5 million. It was 1.6 million. He had skipped straight over an F score and rolled the hexadecimal digit back to 0. This was the first ever rollover in NES Tetris history, and it was also a 160,000 point increase over the world record. Hydrant Dude had proven that he was no fluke. His Tetris skills were legit. But he also had some heavy competition. As more time passed, the top players got better and better at rolling. And by late 2021, Huffaluffagus was making a run at the record. Huff was already a world-class hyper-tapper, finishing 2nd place in the 2020 World Championships. But once rolling became dominant, he made the switch in technique, and was able to nearly reach 1.4 million. Huff was notably a very conservative player on the kill screen. He played even safer than Hydrant Dude, rarely going for Tetrises and just trying to survive. In November 2021, Huff had a game that reached the kill screen at 1.15 million. This was nearly 200,000 behind the record and didn't seem to have much of a chance. But then, he put his survival mode into full effect, and the level counter climbed higher and higher. Level 35, then 40, and then 45. Huff had only landed 2 Tetrises, but he was somehow closing in on the record. A couple minutes later, Huff reached level 50.
You got a deal?
This was the highest level anyone had ever reached in NES Tetris. Finally, on level 52, Huff topped out. His score, 1.676 million. A new world record for score, level, and points on the kill screen. His survival playstyle had worked to perfection, and it was unbelievable to watch. He lasted through 23 levels on the kill screen. Rolling had forever changed NES Tetris. Gone were the days of needing to squeeze out every point before the kill screen ended your game. Now,
You got a deal?
players could just survive longer to make up those points. How high could this score go? By late 2021, the Tetris community was thriving. This was the most active it had ever been, and there was lots of competition for the score record. Rolling had given players who couldn't hypertap a second chance. They too now had a chance to snag the world record. And even though the top score was 1.67 million, it was climbing so fast that it seemed like a 2 million point game wasn't far away.
I don't think I'll be able to get
However,
the HP
over the
up.
next few months, it became very hard to track what the game's true world record was. All because of a practice known as vaulting. See, Cheese had a habit of playing games, sometimes even getting a world record score, and then only telling certain friends about it. Sometimes he did eventually upload his scores, and other times he didn't. Cheese gave various reasons for doing this: to better space out YouTube uploads, to make memes with his friends, and sometimes just because he could. So, we don't have a perfectly accurate record timeline, but we do know bits and pieces of it. In late 2021, Cheese allegedly achieved a new record of 1.7 million and didn't upload the video. However, it's unclear if this was before or after Huff's 1.676 million game, and we don't know what Cheese's exact score was. That being said, Cheese didn't vault all of his scores. He was an amazing player, and sometimes he had to play live, like when he had to qualify for a tournament. Since this was a qualifier, Cheese was just going for a decent score, not anything crazy. Well, 9 minutes later, he entered the kill screen at just 1.075 million. A good qualifying score, sure, but this was the lowest score at this point compared to any world record in the last 10 years. So, if he wanted a record here, this game would have to go deep. Cheese needed to pull off a miracle on the kill screen. For the next 13 levels, it wasn't looking like a miracle, but Cheese was surviving. He wasn't landing any Tetrises, so he didn't get many points, but he also wasn't topping out. Then, suddenly, he misdropped in level 43, and
Anything
things
else
got
you need?
ugly fast.
It's
His
not a
stack
big
piled
deal,
high,
but-
and it looked like this was the end. Cheese's score was at 1.3 million, a fantastic qualifying score. He hadn't hit any Tetrises on the kill screen, and he was way short of the world record. Nobody would blame Cheese for just topping out here and being satisfied. But instead, he did this.
You want this? Doing good. You want this?
1.8!
Doing good.
1.9! Let's go! Oh my god! 2 million!
This
Doing
is
good.
insanity, honestly. I never expected to get this high of a score. GG. That's a good game. Best game I'll ever play.
Cheese went from 0 Tetrises and 1.3 million points to 11 Tetrises and 2.3 million points. This was the biggest world record increase in the game's history, and also the first time anyone had ever reached level 60. Just a legendary game. The community was shaken. This score was so far ahead of anyone else. It was hard to imagine playing for so long while also landing Tetris after Tetris. The inventor of rolling had just mastered his craft. And over the next several months, Cheese's 2 million score stood alone. While others tried and did improve their scores, none were able to crack 2 million. The world record remained a major outlier. Yet, despite this, Cheese was able to improve it once again. In January 2022, he set a new high score of 2.7 million. Unfortunately, this was another vaulted score. Video of the game has never been made public, and what little info we do have comes from the description of Cheese's 2.3 million game. Then, a few months later, Cheese got a score of 2.34 million points on video while qualifying for the April tournament. This eked out his highest recorded game, but was well short of his 2.7 million vaulted score. But no matter which of these 3 games you look at, Cheese was the premier player of NES Tetris. Nobody else could roll as long and as consistently as he could. And that's why he was the only player getting scores like this. But still, while they lagged behind Cheese, other players were improving their rolling skills. And with tournaments happening every month, there was active competition for the score record. One such competitor was Eric ICX.
Let's hear it.
Eric was a good player, and he'd set some community milestones over the years. As a hyper tapper, he was the first person to reach levels 37 and 38. And while he was a good roller too, he lagged behind most other top players. His high score was just short of 1.5 million, and in 13th place overall. Well, on April 1st, 2022, Eric got a great game going. He entered the kill screen at 1.282 million points, a fantastic pace.
See you guys.
Minutes later, he passed 1.5 million and broke his personal best.
Guys.
And then, Eric went on what can only be described as a miracle run. He landed a Tetris on level 46, then another on level 58. In level 64, he'd been playing for so long that his camera shut off. And moments later, he broke Cheese's recorded world record of 2.34 million. This was unreal.
Ontario?
Eric was great, but he was not expected to be a world record contender. He hadn't even gotten 1.5 million before. Now, his score was passing 2.4 million, with no signs of stopping anytime soon. By this point, another concept had come into play: scaling. As mentioned earlier, when you get a Tetris, the amount of points it's worth is determined by this formula. Basically, the higher the level, the more points you get. When Eric first entered the kill screen on level 29, his Tetrises were worth 36,000 points. But now entering level 70, any Tetris would be worth 84,000 points. And as the level climbed higher, these Tetrises became even more valuable.
I'm counting on you.
That's what scaling is. It's
Thanks for
essentially
coming.
the opposite of diminishing returns. The longer you play, the quicker your score rises. And that's exactly what happened to Eric. By the time he hit level 73, he had passed Cheese's vaulted score of 2.73 million. This game was now the undisputed world record, and it was still going. Eric passed level 80, and then level 90.
See you guys.
In level 92, he managed to hit a Tetris worth over 112,000 points. Finally, in level 95, Eric topped out. His final score was 3.77